My sister-in-law has a very demanding job. Even while pregnant, she insisted on meeting with clients, worried about her grandchild. My mother drugged my sister-in-law to make her sleep through the day and miss her appointment. The next day, when my sister-in-law went to work, she discovered her colleague had taken over her position, and she was fired for negligence. Afraid of my sister-in-law's anger, my mother lied and said I was the one who did it. My sister-in-law pinned all the blame on me. To protect her own job, she even schemed to deliver me to her boss's bed. Utterly defenseless, I was brutally violated until I died. Though my mother was heartbroken, she turned right around and told people I had died of cancer. Not only did my sister-in-law get her old job back with a raise, she also moved into a huge mansion. That's when I found out her boss had given her a huge sum of hush money because of my death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my mother tried to stop my sister-in-law from accompanying a client. The moment I opened my eyes, I heard the sound of an argument outside. Looking around at my surroundings, I was still in my own room. That's when I realized I had been reborn. Outside, my sister-in-law Jezebel's voice was booming, practically shouting, "No, I have to go today. This client is incredibly hard to pin down. It's a rare chance to even meet them. I absolutely have to be there for this." My brother just furrowed his brow, but he didn't dare raise his voice to her. My mom, for her part, stood off to the side, not daring to utter a single word. My brother finally couldn't hold back and whispered a plea, "Jezebel, can you please not be so stubborn? The most important thing for you right now is to protect the baby. Your sales targets and all that just aren't important." Hearing this, Jezebel looked ready to jump out of her skin. "Not important? You're nothing but a spineless coward. What on earth did I ever see in you? You can't even out-earn me, and when trouble comes, all you do is hide. What gives you the right to tell me what to do?" My mother, for her part, didn't dare make a single sound. The moment I saw her glance in my direction, I knew she was coming over to get me to talk Jezebel out of going. In my past life, I listened to my mother and went to persuade Jezebel. "Sis, the doctor said your pregnancy is unstable right now and you're at high risk of a miscarriage. On top of that, entertaining clients almost always involves drinking. You know your own body. If you lose this baby, it'll be very difficult to get pregnant again. So, compared to hitting some sales target, having a healthy baby is what really matters." Even though Jezebel usually had a sour look for my brother and my mother, she didn't dare take her anger out on me openly. After all, I'd started a company with some classmates right after graduation, and it had been doing pretty well these past few years. Besides, I'm not even married yet, and a lot of the valuable things in this house were bought by me. Jezebel knew perfectly well that once I became an aunt, the red envelope for my nephew would be nothing short of generous. After I finished talking some sense into her, Jezebel's expression calmed down considerably. Then, with a fake smile, she looked at me and said, "Nina, I hear everything you're saying, sis, but I'm in a tough spot too. You know, you understand. A career woman's life is never her own." At that time, thinking only of the baby in her belly, I agreed without hesitation. I promised that as soon as she gave birth, I'd give a red envelope with 100,000 in it as a welcome gift from the aunt. Jezebel looked completely unfazed. "You think you, as her aunt, can get away with not paying up a measly 100,000? Have you no shame offering so little?" Hearing my sister-in-law say that made my mother even more frantic. Her mind was completely on the matter of her future grandson. She poured a glass of water and told me to take it to Jezebel. At the time, I didn't know any better. I thought it was just the prenatal tonic my mother said it was. But the moment Jezebel drank it, she fell into a deep sleep that lasted the entire day. She completely missed the cocktail party. When Jezebel went to work the next day, not only had her position as sales director been taken by someone else, but she was also fired. The boss even told her to get out in front of all the employees. Jezebel was furious and blamed me for everything. She claimed that if I hadn't given her water, she wouldn't have passed out, and accused me of being jealous of her success. To save face and her position, she schemed to offer me to her boss as a way to curry favor. I distinctly remember her asking her boss if he was satisfied after it was done. Little did they know, I had already been tortured to the point of being flayed and bruised, with no breath left in me, and my mother, when my body was found, showed not a shred of remorse. Right in front of Jezebel, she blamed me for having done this. This time, I won't be anyone's scapegoat. The moment my mom came in, she started urging me to go out and talk some sense into Jezebel. I was ready to ignore her. But my mom practically dragged me out anyway. Seeing me emerge, my brother looked at me like I was a lifeline, his eyes pleading. Jezebel, however, wouldn't let up and kept berating my brother. Cain, I'm telling you for the last time, you're the biggest disappointment in this family. If you think you can tell me what to do, try again in your next life. Honestly, I can't figure out why Jezebel would marry my brother either. My brother is pretty average, he didn't even get into high school. Just went to vocational school and then straight into factory work. Jezebel, on the other hand, is a sales manager at a young age. She's always well-dressed, articulate, can hold her liquor, and knows how to get things done. Her contact list is filled with nothing but successful professionals and big-shot executives. Jezebel and my brother were middle school classmates, but judging by their life paths, they were two people who would never have crossed paths. But right after my brother attended a class reunion, he brought Jezebel home the very next day. My mom was over the moon to see my brother, at his age, land such a beautiful partner. They even moved in together without getting married first, and my mom was already daydreaming about them having a grandson. Things didn't go as planned. Jezebel had been here for 6 months, and despite them being together almost every day, there was still no sign of a baby bump. My mom kept telling herself it was fine, saying there was no rush and that it wouldn't be too late to have a child after they got married. After they had been married for over a year, my mom finally couldn't hold back anymore and asked me to accompany Jezebel to the hospital for a checkup. At the time, I was also thinking of my mom and hoping she could hold her grandchild sooner rather than later. So I pretended I needed a checkup and asked Jezebel if she wanted to come along. Without giving it much thought, Jezebel accompanied me to the hospital. When the test results came out, she had me wait outside while she went in alone for the consultation. While waiting by the door, I faintly overheard the doctor's questions. How many have you lost? 1, just 1. Your lining wouldn't be this thin from just 1. Tell me the truth. Do you even want to get pregnant? 17, well, you young people, I'll prescribe some medicine for you to take home and help regulate your system. Make sure to get plenty of rest, eat a bland diet, and avoid alcohol, coffee, and the like. Come back for a follow-up in 3 months. After Jezebel came out, I pretended to know nothing and asked her, so, how did it go? Any issues? Jezebel quickly tucked the paper away and replied with a smile, how could there be any problem? If there's a problem, it's definitely your brother's fault. Seeing how confident she looked, I didn't press for any details. About 2 weeks ago, she suddenly started feeling unwell, constantly tired, and with little appetite. My mother took one look at her and said it must be a pregnancy. A checkup at the hospital confirmed it. She was pregnant, just 1 month along. However, the doctor advised that the pregnancy was still delicate and recommended complete bed rest. The moment she was discharged from the hospital, Jezebel completely ignored the doctor's orders and went straight back to work as usual. Just as Jezebel was about to grab her bag and leave, my mother nudged me with her shoulder and said, Nina, since she insists on going, make sure your sister-in-law drinks this prenatal tonic. I'm only doing this for my grandson's sake. Before I could even react, a cup of water was thrust into my hand, and I was shoved forward a step. I took the opportunity to pretend to trip, and the cup in my hand quite naturally went flying to the floor. My mom was so mad she smacked me hard on the back of the head. So useless, can't even hold a glass steady. Wait here, I'll get you another one. Seizing the moment while mom was in the kitchen, I smiled and handed over the keys. Drive safe, sis. 3. Watching Jezebel get in the car, she rolled down the window and shot my brother a dirty look. Useless. Looks like Jezebel is pretty upset. By the time my mom rushed over, Jezebel was already 100 meters down the road. Ever since Jezebel married into the family, my mom has never dared to raise her voice at her. Even if she was just yelling at me a second before, she'd immediately switch to a fawning tone when speaking to Jezebel. Everything has to be run by Jezebel first. Jezebel and I both love chicken wings. Every time my mom makes braised chicken, she puts both wings in Jezebel's bowl and only leaves the chicken feet for me. If I don't eat them, she'll say I'm a picky eater. That's just how she is. Always so strict with family, yet so warm and friendly to outsiders. Sometimes I wonder who she really considers her own. The moment something goes wrong, she panics and then turns around and blames it all on me. Just like when I was a kid and got bullied by classmates, she never stood up for me. Instead, she'd come home and scold me, asking why I didn't just stay away from those people, saying I had it coming, but if I ever chose to fight back, she'd pin all the blame squarely on me. In my past life, it was clearly me who convinced Jezebel not to go to work, which kept her unborn baby safe. They never thanked me. Instead, after my advice cost Jezebel her job, they stood by and did nothing while she hurled abuse at me, even joining in to criticize me themselves. Now it's 10 at night. My mom, noticing Jezebel still isn't home, comes over and asks me, "Nina, why don't you give your sister-in-law a call? It's so late. Where could she be?" I glanced over at my brother. He was completely engrossed in a game with his friends. I shot her a look. "See, even my brother isn't worried. What's the point of you getting all worked up? Besides, sis-in-law is a grown woman. You really think she'd let herself get pushed around?" At the mention of being pushed around, my mom fell silent. She was probably remembering how I used to come to her for help when I got bullied as a kid. Her tone became evasive. "You were young back then, and it was always right to endure it. Now, your sister-in-law is carrying my grandson in her belly, and he must not come to any harm." My mother's words were dripping with a preference for sons over daughters. "She's even planning for me to buy a house for my nephew, and her grandson isn't even born yet." Actually, half an hour ago, I saw Jezebel's post on her social media feed. In the photo, she was sitting with a client, looking quite intimate, for my mom only knows how to badger me. If I refuse to do what she wants, she'll just keep nagging and rambling on and on. I couldn't take it anymore, so I agreed to call my sister-in-law, on the condition that she goes back to her room first. After finally managing to coax my mom to leave, I didn't want to call and ruin Jezebel's good time. That's when I thought of my brother, Cain. Back then, he had just finished his game. Seeing me approach, he looked puzzled and asked, "It's so late, why aren't you asleep? What are you doing here?" I delivered a simple, flat line, "Mom's worried about her grandson." It was only then that my brother remembered his wife still hadn't come home. He immediately called Jezebel, muttering under his breath to blame me. "Why didn't you remind me sooner? Now she's going to say I don't care about her again." Those two, mother and son, are exactly alike, always quick to pin the blame on me whenever something happens. But after he dialed, the phone just kept ringing and ringing, with no one picking up. "Why isn't anyone answering?" With that, my brother dialed the number again. Still, no one picked up. My brother shot to his feet, muttering to himself as he turned the situation over in his mind. Could he have lost his phone? No, I have to keep trying. Finally, after over a dozen calls, Jezebel picked up. The line was eerily quiet. My brother spoke first, asking, "Jezebel, it's past 10. Do you want me to come get you?" After a moment, Jezebel's voice came through, sounding slightly slurred. "I'm not done here yet. Stop calling me." My brother, ever the obedient one, simply replied, "Okay." Just as I was about to hang up, Jezebel suddenly added, "What about Nina? Is she asleep? Maybe she could come pick me up." After Jezebel said that, my brother glanced over in my direction. I frowned at him, signaling a refusal. My brother turned back and said to Jezebel, "Nina's worried about you too. Send me your location, and I'll have her head over right now." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm. "Nina, go pick up your sister-in-law. Make sure you get her home safely." I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh as I shook off his hand. "Are you serious, Cain? What, you don't have hands or feet? She's your wife, and I'm not your maid." Seeing how firm I was, Cain softened his tone. "Nina, my dear sister, look how good your sister-in-law is to you. She'd rather have you pick her up than me. Just think of it as doing a little favor for your future nephew." I shot back bluntly, "Don't flatter yourself. If you want to go, go yourself." Little did we know, our entire conversation had been overheard by my mom. She stormed out of her room and stood right in front of me, scolding, "Why are you so unwilling to do a simple favor for your brother? He asked you to pick up your sister-in-law, so just go. Why all the backtalk? Have I raised you all these years for nothing?" I retorted angrily. "Whose wife is Jezebel, anyway? He's got nothing to do right now, so why does he have to order me around?" My brother started to say something, but my mom cut him off. "Your brother's had a long day at work. What's the big deal about letting him play some games to unwind? Just do as you're told and go." As she said this, She pushed me out the door. She didn't care that I was only in my pajamas, didn't ask if I was cold, and just kept urging me to hurry up. Kane is tired from work. In her eyes, I bet even breathing is exhausting for her precious son. It's almost laughable to think about it. For all her doting on her son, my mom had no idea that in my past life, after I died, Jezebel took a hefty sum of hush money and promptly shipped my mom back to our hometown. The conditions back in my hometown are poor, and the house is an old, dilapidated structure that's become unsafe. After a typhoon hit, the house couldn't withstand the force of the Category 10 winds and collapsed instantly. My mother was trapped under a collapsed wall, and by the time she was rescued, she was completely immobilized. After she was rushed to the hospital, the doctors informed my brother that emergency treatment was needed, yet, her most beloved son turned a blind eye and chose to forego life-saving measures. They didn't even inform the relatives about the funeral, hastily scattering the ashes into the sea. Even now, she still clings to the fantasy that her precious son will take care of her in her old age. 5. I opened a ride-hailing app, booked a car, and headed to the hotel where Jezebel was having dinner. When I arrived, I didn't go up. Instead, I sat in the lobby lounge and texted her, "I'm here, sis, come on down." Jezebel called back almost immediately. I was about to speak when a man's voice came through. "You must be Jezebel's sister-in-law. Your sister-in-law has had too much to drink and isn't in her right mind. You'd better come up and get her." After hanging up, a vague sense of foreboding settled in my heart. Jezebel was at least coherent when I was still at home. How did she get this drunk in the short 20 minutes it took me to get a cab from home to the hotel? Looks like I have no choice but to go up and get Jezebel now. The moment I pushed open the private room door, everyone inside started whooping and hollering, "Jezebel, you were absolutely right. Your little sister-in-law is so obedient. The moment you said you were drunk, she came right up." Jezebel sat there, looking at me and laughing. She didn't seem drunk at all. Then again, of course not. A sales director of her stature would never have such a low tolerance. Seeing my expression change, Jezebel started complaining about the others again. "I told you not to tease my little sister. She's still an innocent young lady, and you've made her blush." It seemed like Jezebel was speaking up for me, but deep down, I knew this whole idea was hers. One thing I know for sure, she drank today. What about the baby she's carrying? With everyone's eyes on me, Jezebel joined in, clearly enjoying my discomfort. Knowing Jezebel, there's no way she would ever make her pregnancy public. I lowered my head with a faint, knowing smile, then looked up, my gaze meeting Jezebel's eyes before deliberately dropping to her stomach. Just as I was about to speak, Jezebel saw this and hurriedly stood up, grabbing her bag. She turned to the people beside her and said, all right, you've all had a look. My job here is done. Surely you wouldn't make my little sister wait for me all alone. I'll be taking my leave now. You all carry on and have fun." After hearing what Jezebel said, those people seemed a bit disappointed. The man next to Jezebel, who seemed to be her boss, raised his glass and started walking towards me. "Now that you're here," he said, "you can't leave without having a drink." Jezebel smoothly took the glass from him and downed it in one go. Then, she leaned in close to him, stood on her tiptoes, and whispered something in his ear. The man let out a hearty laugh and didn't come any closer to me. He just said to Jezebel, "Well then, I'll be waiting." Jezebel thumped her chest in assurance. "Don't worry, you can count on me, I'll handle it." After leaving the private room with Jezebel, before I could even ask, she volunteered what she had just said to her boss. "Nina, I just told my boss we'd have a private dinner next time to drink with him. You absolutely have to come. Don't make me lose face. You know I spoke up for you in there today." I responded with a cold laugh. "Wasn't it you who specifically asked for me to come today?" Hearing me say that, Jezebel probed cautiously. "You heard everything when Cain called me." I didn't hide it and replied, "Every single word." Jezebel's face instantly showed a hint of awkwardness, but she still defended herself. "To be honest, I'm a bit envious of you, sis. You started a successful business right after graduation. You know how hard I've worked to get to where I am today. You're the family's pride and joy. It never hurts to meet more influential people. I only have your best interests at heart." I didn't say another word to Jezebel all the way until we got in the car. Suddenly, Jezebel let out a blood-curdling scream. 6. My stomach. It hurts so much. That's when I noticed the red stain already on the white dress she was wearing today. I immediately started the car and told her to lie down. We need to get to the hospital, now. The whole way, Jezebel was in too much pain to speak, and I sped through every red light to get us there. Fortunately, the hotel wasn't far from the hospital, and we arrived in about 10 minutes. After Jezebel was admitted to the emergency room, I immediately called my brother to come over. Just as my brother and my mother arrived, the doctor came out of the emergency operating room. My mother rushed forward to ask about Jezebel's condition. The doctor shook his head helplessly. We couldn't save the baby. A critical factor was that the mother had been drinking. How could she not know something so basic? As soon as the doctor left, Kane yanked me over and demanded, "I asked you to pick up your sister-in-law and get her home safely. Can't you do anything right?" My mother, with no regard for the setting, started wailing right there in the hospital lobby. My precious grandson, my grandson, what are we going to do?" Her crying was so loud it drew a crowd of onlookers. Hearing my brother blame me, the people who had gathered began to whisper and talk about me. I heard it was the sister-in-law who refused to pick her up, deliberately causing the miscarriage. How can she be so selfish? It's just picking someone up. It's not like she's losing a limb, and she still refused, letting them chatter on. I just shot back at my brother. "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear the doctor say the miscarriage was caused by drinking? She brought this on herself." Kane stubbornly refused to accept the truth. Still arguing, he headed straight for Jezebel's hospital room. Seeing him leave, my mother wiped her tears and followed behind. By the time we reached the room, Jezebel had just woken up, the moment she saw my brother and my mother. Her tears, as if they'd been waiting in reserve, instantly welled up and overflowed. But at that moment, anyone with a working nose could smell the distinct odor of alcohol hanging in the hospital room. My brother finally began to reluctantly accept what the doctor said, but he still whispered to Jezebel with concern, "Jezebel, don't be too upset, you can try for another baby." Jezebel also started blaming herself tearfully. "It's all my fault, I shouldn't have been drinking." My brother didn't blame Jezebel in the slightest, saying, "I know you were in a difficult position, please don't be so hard on yourself." At that moment, Jezebel glanced at me and started crying again. Yes, I couldn't just stand by and watch Nina get bullied. They were forcing her to drink. As her sister-in-law, I had to protect her. So you're drinking that for Nina?" My brother shot up from his seat. My mother suddenly perked up, the moment the blame shifted onto me. She was no longer the weak, tearful woman. On the contrary, she became more self-righteous than anyone. Without a word, she walked up to me and slapped me across the face. "I knew you were up to no good. You've always been jealous of your brother, and now you can't stand to see him happy. You won't even spare your own nephew. How did I raise such an ungrateful wretch?" My brother chimed in, jabbing a finger at me. "Nina, you can't be this malicious. What goes around comes around." I wiped the corner of my mouth and felt the sting where my mother had struck me, my fingers coming away smeared with blood. Ignoring the others, I locked eyes with Jezebel on the hospital bed. She gave me a sinister smile and said, "Yes, retribution will come, sooner or later." 7. Jezebel seemed to have a guilty conscience. She called my brother over and whispered a few words to him. My brother nodded in agreement repeatedly, then turned and snarled at me viciously, "Get out. I don't want to see you ever again." My mother chimed in, "Don't you leave yet. You're not going anywhere until you pay for your sister-in-law's medical and surgery bills." I ignored them, turned around, and walked straight out the door. However, a crowd of onlookers had already gathered outside, but that didn't affect me in the slightest. All I wanted this time was to get as far away from them as possible. They were the ones who told me to get lost, so I'm just granting their wish. For me, staying alive is more important than anything. Honestly, I'd been wanting to move out for a while. The only reason I hadn't was that my newly renovated place needed to air out. In my last life, I never got to live in my own home before I died. This time, I can finally fulfill my childhood dream of having a place to call my own. I went home, packed a few essentials, and then hailed a cab straight to my new apartment. It was in that moment that I truly understood the meaning of being alive. After a wonderfully relaxing shower, it felt like a completely fresh start. But as they say, man proposes, God disposes. Just as I was about to head to the office the next day, my classmate Sally sent me a video. The company's entrance was barricaded, and the person who did it was none other than my own mother. She didn't care about making a scene. She went around bad-mouthing me to anyone who would listen. calling me an ungrateful wretch, petty, and jealous, with the staff unable to come in. Sally had to announce a last-minute day off, but until this issue is resolved, the company simply can't open for business. I couldn't figure it out either, how my mother's attitude could change so drastically overnight. Without a second thought, I headed straight to the office. When I arrived, she was still muttering complaints under her breath. When she saw me, she got even more worked up and tried to hit me. Luckily, Sally stopped her. I told Sally to go back first. This whole thing is aimed at me. Mom, what are you doing? What do you think you're accomplishing by causing a scene at my office? My mother, gritting her teeth, insisted I go to the hospital with her. You think you're so clever now, don't you? I couldn't reach you by phone, so I had to come to your office. Let me tell you, you're in big trouble this time. You're coming with me. To avoid drawing a crowd, I had no choice but to go along with her for the moment. When I arrived at the hospital, Jezebel's room was already packed. Seeing me, people started pointing and whispering. What exactly happened that night, I wouldn't know until I saw Jezebel myself. I pushed through the crowd to the room. The moment I stepped inside, my mother ordered me to kneel before Jezebel. I stood my ground, refusing to agree. What kind of charade is this? Are you really coming after me like this today just because I didn't pay that medical bill last night? I looked at Jezebel again, but she just kept crying without saying a word. My brother couldn't hold back any longer and lashed out at me. Do you have any idea? Your sister-in-law can't have children anymore because she drank on your behalf, and you still had the nerve to hide. You'll never escape this. Get on your knees and apologize to her. Beg for her forgiveness. Seeing him so furious, I couldn't help but find it amusing. I always wondered how a powerhouse like my sister-in-law ended up with a useless man like you. Turns out it's because you're so obedient. The moment my mom heard me say Kane was useless, she snapped. Nina, you're really asking for it, aren't you? How is your brother useless? I pulled a document from my bag and showed it to them. Whether he's useful or not isn't for me to decide. This will tell us. 8. My mom snatched the document right out of my hands. She stared at it for a long time without a word, then handed it to my brother. I can't make heads or tails of this. What does it say? My brother took one look and fell silent. Since he wouldn't say it, I had to speak for him. Mom, my brother has azoospermia. He can never have children, so it's impossible for my sister-in-law to be pregnant, and if she is, that child definitely isn't his. My mom didn't believe me and kept pressing Kane for confirmation. Jiangzi, is what Nina said true? Under my mom's relentless questioning, my brother finally admitted the truth, but he still tried to defend Jezebel. Mom, Jezebel and I discussed this. Any child she has, I'll raise as my own. It will be your real grandson. But now, Nina has robbed me of even the chance to be a father. She's nothing but a criminal. At that point, my mom stopped trying so desperately to make me kneel. She just kept repeating the same phrase over and over. It's impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The doctor must have made a mistake. Jezebel is really something else. I can't believe she actually talked my brother into doing something like that. Now she's had a miscarriage, and of course she's going to pin the blame on me. She's out there fooling around. Yet my brother at home is still completely devoted to her. I have to admit, she's got some serious skills. I really didn't want to get involved in this mess, but since she's dead set on throwing mud at me, I have no choice but to stop holding back. My brother kept pressing me to apologize to Jezebel. Nina, your sister-in-law did it for me, for our Shen family. You caused her miscarriage. Don't you think you owe us some kind of compensation? I sneered and asked. Compensation? Do I owe you anything? Kane added. Of course you do. If it weren't for you, would we have lost that child? I pulled out another document and flung it right in his face. Take a look for yourself. That child was never viable to begin with. In my past life, after Jezebel saw the doctor, she told me there was no problem, and I didn't doubt it at the time. This time, I was more cautious. I tracked down that same gynecologist and asked again. It turned out Jezebel couldn't carry the child to term at all, due to having too many miscarriages. She had known back then that she would never be able to have children. Kane fell silent after seeing the medical report. Even if his loyalty lies entirely with Jezebel, I still have evidence waiting for her. When he remained silent, I walked over to Jezebel and whispered a warning. Are you pleased with this outcome? Jezebel knew the situation was extremely unfavorable for her. She immediately tried to get off the hospital bed to kneel before me. Fortunately, my brother stopped her. Or she would have actually done it. I'm sorry, Nina, we're family. Please don't blame mom or your brother. They're just overly protective of me. I know it's not your fault. It's all mine. I'm apologizing to you. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Jezebel played her part with such convincing sincerity that anyone listening would have thought her completely innocent. A bystander chimed in, "Oh, come on, you're all family. There's no need for such deep-seated grudges. Let bygones, be the bigger person, young lady, and just let it go." Since this was all an act, the best course was simply to play along. I personally helped Jezebel to her feet and said with genuine concern, "Sister-in-law, getting your health back is the most important thing." Then, in a voice only the two of us could hear, I added, "If you insist on pushing this, I'll be right here to see it through." 3 days later, Jezebel was discharged from the hospital, however. After this whole ordeal, Jezebel seemed like a changed person. She would talk to me every day, covering every topic under the sun, shopping, food, travel, you name it. If I tried to avoid her, she'd show up at my office to corner me. With other people around, I couldn't openly make a scene with her. It wasn't until my brother's birthday that we were forced to have a meal together. She sent me the hotel address and private room number a day in advance. I was puzzled and asked her, "It's just my brother's minor birthday, going to such a fancy restaurant. The bill for a private room like this for one night must be in the 5 figures, right?" Jezebel replied with a smiling emoji and explained, "Your brother's birthday is just the occasion. The main point is that our whole family can have a meal together again. Ever since that incident, you haven't been home. Mom misses you so much her hair has turned white." Her words really struck a chord with me. Even though I'd been holding a grudge against my mom, she did give birth to me. There's no lasting resentment between a mother and daughter. I decided to use this chance to make amends and show her the respect she deserves. The next day, Jezebel came to pick me up from work early. On the way, she handed me a hangover prevention candy, saying it would keep me from feeling sick when we had drinks later. I told her I wasn't going to drink, so I didn't need the candy, Jezebel explained. "Mom actually forgave you a long time ago. She even picked out this red wine herself. If you don't drink any, she'll think you don't want to make up with her." At Jezebel's remark, I glanced at the hangover candy in my hand and then swallowed it. By the time we reached the private room's entrance, I started feeling a bit queasy, and my head began to spin. Leaning against the wall, I watched as everything in front of me grew blurry. "Sis, I'm feeling really dizzy. I don't know what's going on." Seeing this, Jezebel stopped to steady me. "The hotel temperature might be a bit high. You're probably lightheaded from lack of air. You'll feel better once we're inside the private room." As Jezebel helped me into the private room, I hazily caught sight of her boss. There was no one else in the room. After Jezebel handed me over to her boss, she whispered, "She's completely drained of strength. Please, enjoy yourself." I grabbed Jezebel's sleeve and demanded, "Sis, what did you do to me?" Jezebel pushed me aside with ease and sneered, "Did you really think I was being nice because I wanted to make up? Don't be ridiculous. You think you're so high and mighty, but you've been played all along. Consider yourself lucky that our boss even took a liking to you." I pressed on, "So that's why you had me pick you up the first time. You were never really the sales director, were you?" Jezebel grew even more smug. "A bit late to figure that out, isn't it? You're already a lamb to the slaughter. The less you struggle, the less it'll hurt." With that, Jezebel gave me one more sweeping glance, looking thoroughly pleased with herself, before turning and walking away. In my dazed state, I felt myself being picked up and then placed onto something very soft. As my clothes were about to be torn off, I cursed Sally in my mind. "Damn it, Sally, are you this unreliable? One more second and I would have been assaulted. Hurry up and get here." The moment I finished that desperate prayer, the room door was violently kicked open. A swarm of police officers rushed in, shouting, "Hands on your head, get down." Sally came running right after her, heading straight for me. "You okay, Nina?" "Got here just in time." I shot her a look, and then everything went black. Trusting my life to someone else for the first time, I really had some nerve. 10. Jezebel and her boss were taken away for engaging in a sex for favors scheme. For years, Jezebel had been involved in this criminal line of work. Her job was to scout young women for her boss, earning a commission for each successful arrangement. Previously, when she mentioned meeting a client, she was actually setting up another girl for her boss to vet. When that girl didn't show up, her boss got angry. That's when she thought of me and used the pretext of needing a ride to get me over there so her boss could take a look. The moment I laid eyes on her boss, I was reminded of my past life's ordeal, so I asked my well-connected classmate, Kai, to look into him for me, and sure enough, he dug up some irregularities. They claimed to be a sales company, but their office address, warehouse, and factory are all just a front. There are no actual employees working there. The company's actual controlling shareholder turned out to be a training company from out of town. I knew Jezebel had an ulterior motive for getting close to me, so I discussed it with Kai Sally and decided to use myself as bait to gather evidence against them. When I visited Jezebel in the detention center, she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that I had suspected her. How did you figure out everything I did? After she finished asking, I calmly replied, the net of justice has wide meshes. But it catches everything. Nothing stays hidden forever. I told you, if you kept going, I'd be right there to see it through to the end. Jezebel let out a bitter laugh. Don't blame me, blame our boss for taking a liking to you. He threatened me, saying if I couldn't get you, I'd be out of a job. I was planning to quit after this one last job anyway. But who would have thought? After a brief pause, Jezebel started crying again. Do you think I wanted to get into this line of work? I was once a kind, hopeful college student with my whole future ahead of me. It all changed when I saw this dress that cost $2,000. I said I couldn't afford it, and they offered to lend me the money. I hesitated at first, but they said I could work it off for them, so I agreed. Wiping her tears, Jezebel continued, then, to my shock, they demanded $5,000 back for the $2,000 I borrowed, but they said the debt would be cleared if I just agreed to spend time with a certain client. I stared at her, saying nothing. Jezebel laughed again as she spoke. Once you get a taste of the good life, you never want to go back to hardship. The money came so easily, I could buy anything I wanted without a second thought about the price. Back then, I truly believed that was the life I wanted. It wasn't until the doctor told me I could never have my own children. My heart felt like it was being torn in two. I went from heaven to hell in an instant. That's when I woke up from the dream and returned to reality. I went back home, met your brother, and thought about settling down. But how could someone used to a life of luxury be content with being ordinary, especially when your brother showed no ambition? So, I had no choice but to find them and get back into this line of work. Nina, I've wronged you, and I've wronged your brother. Can you ever forgive me? Jezebel sincerely confessed to me and begged for my forgiveness. In her own telling, she's a victim too. But what's the use of that now? I stood up and gave her a faint smile. The only reason you regret this is because you got caught. If you hadn't been arrested, I don't think you'd have felt a shred of remorse for the rest of your life. So, if you want forgiveness, just wait quietly for the court's judgment. That will give you plenty of time to repent. When I got home, my brother still couldn't believe Jezebel would do such a thing. He kept asking me if I had misjudged her. I slapped him across the face. Cain, you're the one who's blind. You're utterly foolish, being sold out and still helping count the money for the seller. Why do you think she married you? For your lack of ambition or your complete lack of achievement? Do you have any idea that every penny you spend from Jezebel is stained with other people's blood? Not being able to have children is the greatest retribution you deserve. My mother, however, fell silent this time. To my surprise, she volunteered to move back to our hometown. I suppose it's because there's no hope for a grandson, and her son is unreliable. Maybe it's for the best. The air is fresher back home, and we have relatives there. She can find something to keep herself busy. I had already submitted the application to rebuild the old house. Construction can start in the next few days. Thank heavens for giving me a second chance at life. The road ahead is long, but the future is full of promise. Story 2. In the winter of the 6th year of the apocalypse, I successfully broke through to become a 10th rank ability user. When I returned to the base, there was a new woman by Hunter's side. She sat in the seat that was supposed to be mine and laughed as she fell into Hunter's arms. The partner I once risked my life to save said dismissively, "It's perfectly normal for a high-rank ability user like Brother Sue to have several women around him, isn't it?" Later, when the zombie horde attacked, they came crying to the gate of the new base I joined, begging me to save them again. 1. This was the scene that greeted me when I returned to the base. The table was filled with a dazzling array of food. The petite and cute girl beside Hunter threw a can that she had only taken a bite of into the trash can and complained, "Ugh. This doesn't taste good, I'm throwing it away." Hunter glanced up but said nothing. Under my management in the past, not even a single piece of food was allowed to be wasted on the dining table of the base's management. This was the apocalypse, not the past. The outside world was full of dangers, whether it was the mutated zombies or the harsh climate. I never dared to relax my vigilance for a moment. The food on the table was what my team and I had snatched from the midst of the zombie horde last time. We lost 2 of our brothers just for this batch of supplies, 2 vibrant lives. In this apocalypse where people were starving to death every minute, food was being discarded just because it didn't taste good. I couldn't hold back any longer and threw the package in my hand to the ground. I didn't know the base had become so rich that food could be wasted casually just because it doesn't taste good. My cold voice interrupted the harmonious gathering in front of me. Everyone looked at me. Some people avoided my gaze, too afraid to look me in the eye. "Sister Catherine, when did you get back?" "Sorry, I shouldn't be so picky. It's all my fault." The girl who had been smiling and acting coquettishly just now had her eyes red in an instant. She clutched Hunter's sleeve like a frightened rabbit. "It's just a can." Laurel has a simple mind and didn't think much about it. Hunter held Laurel's delicate little hands reassuringly, as if he had forgotten that I was his girlfriend of 2 years. "Simple-minded, Hunter, it's the 6th year of the apocalypse now." My meaningful tone made Hunter press his lips together. Could anyone who had survived until the 6th year of the apocalypse really believe she was simple-minded? So what? Laurel doesn't have any abilities. She's been protected by other ability users before. "She's not like you, so tough that you're like a man," said Hunter's good friend, Jackson. He had always disliked me for managing various affairs in the base and always liked to oppose me. "Don't fight because of me. It's all my fault," Laurel said with tears in her eyes, looking extremely pitiful. "The atmosphere was good until you came back. What bad luck. You guys eat by yourselves. I'm going back." Jackson kicked his chair over and walked out, cursing. A flash of delight crossed Laurel's eyes, and she leaned even closer to Hunter, looking wronged. Hunter was silent for a moment, then said in a deep voice, "All right, that's just Jackson's temper. Let's continue eating." "Catherine, did you succeed in breaking through this time?" Looking at the curiosity in his eyes, I subconsciously hid the fact that I had broken through to a higher rank. "No, too. Hunter and I were college classmates. After the zombie outbreak, we both awakened our abilities one after another. We fought side by side for 6 years, and our strength was always on par. At that time, many large bases wanted to recruit us, but Hunter refused. He believed that a high-rank ability user like him shouldn't be subservient to others. He didn't like being controlled. So I had no choice but to reject the offers from other bases and accompany him in building this small base. He smoothly rose to the 9th rank. But I hit a bottleneck after reaching the 8th rank and couldn't break through for a long time. Among ability users, the gap of 1 rank was like an ant trying to shake a tree, an insurmountable difference. Since then, his attitude towards me gradually became strange. He even stopped asking for my opinion on many decision-making matters related to the base. I tried to break through many times. Not only did I often fail, but the ability fluctuations emitted during the breakthrough would also attract a large number of zombie attacks. That's why I went to the no man's land alone this time, because the dissatisfaction with me in the base was growing louder and louder. They had forgotten how I protected them when they were breaking through, but now I was extremely grateful for this solitary journey. On the way, I killed countless zombies and saved many teams that had come out of the base to search for supplies. Since Hunter built this base, I had devoted too much time and energy to managing all kinds of affairs. During the 3 months I was away, I didn't have to worry about the base's supplies or personnel changes. After fully immersing myself in combat, it was only natural that I advanced to the 9th rank. The fluctuations during the breakthrough attracted a high-rank zombie nearby. This was a God-given opportunity, but it also brought with it the shadow of death. 9th rank zombies had always been one of the targets pursued by major bases. It wasn't just humans who were progressing, the zombies were also gradually developing thoughts and abilities. Zombies with abilities would form a crystal core in their chests. consuming the crystal core could absorb the zombie's ability. High-rank zombies could command all lower-ranked zombies within a 100-mile radius. In that battle, I did my best and it was a close call. My right hand was almost useless after that battle. Looking at the overwhelming tide of zombies, I had no choice but to consume the crystal core that I had originally prepared to give to Hunter, and thus, I broke through to the 10th rank. Looking at the disdain in Hunter's eyes at this moment, I suddenly felt extremely grateful to those damn zombies that had tried to kill me. If it weren't for them, I might have been stupid enough to give away the 9th rank crystal core. After getting the answer, Hunter casually shifted his gaze behind me and asked, "Who is this?" Mabel behind me had a cold expression. She had witnessed everything that had just happened, and her attitude towards Hunter wasn't friendly at the moment. "A girl I saved on the way back. Her base was breached by zombies. Sister-in-law, not to be mean, but our base is short on supplies right now. It's not good for you to keep bringing people back like this, is it?" Leah leaned back in her chair with her arms crossed, her dissatisfaction obvious. I raised an eyebrow, my tone unfriendly. "I picked you up, and now there's a problem with me picking up a 7th rank fire-type ability user, or would you prefer it if I picked up someone who's completely helpless and picky about food?" My words were clearly aimed at someone, and everyone present understood who I was targeting. 3. When they heard that Mabel was a 7th rank fire-type ability user, the expressions of the people present softened a bit. "Maybe I shouldn't have come to the base. I'm sorry for dragging everyone down. I'm just an ordinary person without any abilities. Maybe I should just leave on my own," Laurel said, on the verge of tears. Her lower lip trembled, and her red nose made her look incredibly pitiful. Hunter's eyes showed a hint of distress. He pulled Laurel into his arms and said softly, "What do you mean by dragging us down? It's our duty as ability users to protect you. Do you think I, a 9th rank ability user, can't protect a little girl like you?" Others also chimed in to comfort her. "That's right. Isn't the purpose of building the base to protect humans?" What the deputy base leader said is too harsh. Our ability users really superior. Mabel had a fiery temper. She stood in front of me with a scowl. "I thought I entered a base, but it feels like I fell into a cesspool with such foul-mouthed people. You're eating and drinking the supplies that ability users risked their lives to bring back. Not being grateful is bad enough, but looking so entitled. Were your brains thrown away with the placenta when you were born? Who told you that ability users are always here to protect humans? Have you been protected so well that you don't know what's going on outside? You're all idiots." Just as Mabel said, not all ability users were protectors. In most small bases run by men, the treatment of ordinary people was far from good. Men were often underfed and forced to do dirty and tiring work every day. As for women, they had little dignity. They were expected to satisfy the sexual needs of ability users at any time. No one would ask if they were willing. If they wanted to live, they had to obey. Because in even worse bases, ordinary people were even kept as the last resort for food. This was the reality, cruel and cold. I had always protected them in an ivory tower. The worst things they had seen were just the menacing zombies. They had never witnessed the ugliness of human nature. "Catherine, is this how the people you bring back talk? If you don't want to stay, you can get out of the base." Hunter's face turned completely cold, and his dissatisfaction was palpable. I pulled Mabel back behind me and looked at the two people hugging tightly in front of me with a sarcastic smile. "Is there a problem with the people I bring back? At least they're better than some mistresses who shamelessly cling to other people's boyfriends. Hunter, have you forgotten that you're my boyfriend?" The smile faded from my face, and I looked coldly at the disgusting couple in front of me. Laurel struggled out of Hunter's arms in a panic, her hands tightly twisting together. "It's not like that. Brother Sue and I aren't what you think. He was just comforting me out of kindness." As soon as she finished speaking, a snort came from the table. "Sister-in-law, do you know how many partners high-rank ability users have these days? It's normal for a high-rank ability user like Brother Sue to have several women around him, right?" Leah looked dismissive, her words full of sarcasm. "According to what you said, I should also go find several men," I said calmly. Glancing at Hunter's furrowed brows, Leah blurted out, "How can men and women be the same? That would make you a slut. It's considered a sign of success for men to have multiple partners, but a woman with multiple partners is called a slut." Could it be that you're actually a man, Leah? For, after returning to the room with Mabel, I sat alone for a long time. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't sad or wronged after giving so much and ending up in this situation. It turned out that while I was in a life and death situation, the person I loved most was hugging another woman affectionately. After the bitterness in my heart, nausea followed. I had never imagined that the person I had known for 10 years and been in a relationship with for 2 years had rotted away before I even realized it. Sister Catherine, are you okay? Mabel hesitated, her eyes filled with worry. I pulled the corners of my mouth, but I couldn't manage a smile. Sister Catherine, why don't we leave? These ungrateful people aren't worth you staying here and working yourself to the bone for them. You're already a... She looked back at the locked door, then continued in a lowered voice, a 10th rank ability user. Do you know how badly major bases would want to recruit you if they found out? Besides, I'm not bad either. Even if I can't join an elite team, I can still join an ordinary team and go out on hunts. I looked up at her, and Mabel avoided my gaze. Which base are you from, Mabel? Mabel froze, her face turning pale. She stammered, I'm from Luocheng base. I came out this time to gather intelligence and happened to meet you. I just wanted to see how big a base with a 10th rank ability user could be. Seeing how they treated you, I really feel it's not worth it. Sister Catherine, Mabel spared no effort in promoting her base. 9/10 of the people in the base are women. The atmosphere is great, and we're like sisters. You'll definitely like it. I pressed my lips together and was silent for a while. Give me some time, I'll think about it. There weren't just those ungrateful people in this base. There were also many ordinary people I had saved from the outside. If I left, how would Hunter, Jackson, and the others manage them? The next day, when I went downstairs, no one else was there yet. Only Laurel was sitting barefoot in my seat, chatting with the aunt in charge of cooking. Auntie, what's for today? I'm making your favorite shepherd's purse and pork dumplings. The base leader specifically told me to, the aunt said. Laurel closed her eyes happily, and her fair cheeks turned pink. Thank you, Auntie. I stood at the corner of the stairs and watched the aunt flattering Laurel. We all think you and the base leader make a great couple, but didn't everyone know that Hunter and I were a recognized couple? When the aunt saw me coming down, she looked embarrassed. Deputy base leader, I'll go make the dumplings. She left in a hurry, leaving just me and Laurel there. You're jealous of me, aren't you, Catherine? Laurel propped her face up with her slender wrist and tilted her head to look at me. Your boyfriend dotes on me, and the people you've risked your life to protect like me more. It's so pathetic to be a woman like you. It's your own fault, not mine. I relaxed my clenched hands and said calmly, what would I be jealous of you for? Jealous of your shamelessness for being a mistress, or jealous of your dependence on men to survive? I'm different from you. I don't need to rely on others' affection to live. 5. After I finished speaking, I went upstairs and knocked on Mabel's door. She was still asleep, looking sleepy when she opened the door, with her shoulder-length hair sticking up in all directions. Sister Catherine, I've decided to accept what you said yesterday. Let's leave now. Coincidentally, I hadn't packed up the duffel bag I used to carry my clothes yesterday, so I could leave right away. Why so sudden? Mabel looked at me in surprise, then smiled. Let's go, let's leave right now. When we went downstairs and past the living room, Hunter was lounging in a chair, his right arm around Laurel's shoulders. Catherine, what do you mean by this? He looked at the black duffel bag in my hand with a frown. I'm leaving the base, Hunter snapped. There has to be a limit to your tantrums. Are you really going to abandon everyone in the base over such a trivial matter? Mabel spat in disgust. Let you ungrateful wretches rot. You're nothing but ungrateful beasts who eat when served but curse as soon as the bowl is down. Let her go. Without Brother Sue to back her up, she'll probably regret it and want to come crawling back. We don't just take anyone, Jackson sneered, shooting me a disdainful look. I had clearly dedicated more effort to the base. But he always believed it was all Hunter's doing. It was as if I could accomplish nothing without Hunter. Thankfully, I didn't spare them even a single extra glance. Catherine, you should know that if you leave now, it means you're breaking up with me. Hunter's eyes were chillingly cold, his dark, unblinking gaze fixed on me. This time, I turned to face him, a mocking smile playing on my lips. What else would it mean? Do you really think I'd still want a rotten cucumber like you? Mabel chimed in, a man who doesn't respect himself is like rotten cabbage. I tossed my duffel bag into the back seat of the Jeep. As soon as I got in, many people came over to greet me. Deputy Base Leader, are you going out again? Are you going to search for supplies? Hiding the coldness in my eyes, I replied politely. I'm quitting the Tongxing base as of today. From now on, you can report your supply needs directly to the base leader. Unexpectedly, someone in the crowd protested. Why, the base leader is so busy, when would he have time for such trivial matters? You brought us here, you can't just abandon us. Is it because the base leader brought back a pretty girl? Deputy base leader, being so jealous isn't a good look for a woman. A bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, creating a deep pit in front of the car and terrifying everyone. Perhaps I had been too easy, going for too long, leading them to think I was a pushover and that everything I did was insignificant. If it's so trivial, then go to the other administrators. Are they useless? Can't they handle such a small thing? This was the first time I lost my temper. It was also the first time I used my abilities on ordinary people. Everyone stared at me, stunned. Deputy Base Leader. The energy I released caught Hunter's attention. He seemed to have realized something and looked at me with suspicion. Catherine, are you? The moment he opened his mouth, I rolled up the car window, blocking out all external sounds. I didn't want to hear their barking. 6. Luocheng Base was a large-scale base named after the city. It wasn't too far from my current base. It was just in the neighboring city, however, with zombies running rampant. There were no survivors left in the densely populated urban areas. The once clean and tidy streets were now overgrown with plants. We took many detours, wasting a lot of time, and had to clear wave after wave of zombies. Mabel blew at her accidentally singed bangs in confusion. Why does it seem like there are more zombies than when we came? I frowned, eyeing the piles of charred zombies in front of the car. The number of zombies recently is unusually high, pushing down my unease. We managed to reach Luocheng before nightfall. Our base is in the suburbs. It'll take another 2 or 3 hours to drive there given the current road conditions, but it's already dark. How about we find a place to rest for the night? Mabel suggested reasonably. Zombies were more active at night than during the day, and an ability user's energy wasn't infinite. Running out of energy could mean death if even a small group of zombies attacked. I drove the car to a less populated residential area in the city, parked it, and prepared to rest for the night. Let's just spend the night in the car. After advancing to the 10th rank, I could clearly feel that my eyesight and hearing had improved significantly. Even the slightest sound could reach my ears instantly. Sis, how much longer until we reach Luocheng base? Woohoo, there are so many zombies, and you're injured. What should we do? It's okay, Naomi, hold on a little longer. We've already reached Luocheng. Tomorrow at dawn, I'll go into the city to find a car, and then we can reach the base. Once we're there, you won't be bullied anymore. 2 voices came from the darkness. The latter sounded out of breath, clearly badly injured. I opened my eyes and looked at the quiet night. Mabel, there are survivors in this residential area, and someone might have been infected by zombies. Mabel's expression turned serious. Let's search separately, no need. I know where they are. I led Mabel through the darkness. My ability was lightning-based, and using it would create too much noise. Mabel simply incinerated the scattered zombies. I stopped in front of a worn-out security door. Mabel looked at me questioningly. Here, yeah, I nodded, mentally preparing myself for the possibility that the girl inside had turned into a zombie. But that wasn't the case. Inside the room were 2 young girls. The cleaner-looking girl held the other tightly, eyeing us warily. Who are you? We don't have any food. Mabel held a ball of fire, ready to attack. Who is she to you? The girl hesitated for a moment. She's my sister. She was bitten by a zombie. Put her on the ground first. The older sister weakly raised her head, her pale lips parting as she let out a weak cough. Ahem, sirs, I'm an ability user. I let out a sigh of relief and quickly went to check her injuries. 7. Ability users had all survived the mutation process and were no longer vulnerable to the zombie virus, so even if they were injured, there was no need to worry about turning into zombies. Mabel reassured them. We're both ability users from Luocheng base. We won't hurt you. Where did you come from? There shouldn't be any humans wandering alone outside anymore. The girl bit her lower lip tightly. It seemed she had recalled something terrifying, and her whole body began to tremble. I'm Naomi. And this is my sister, Natalia. We used to be in a small base. Our base leader was a 5th rank ability user. Some time ago, the number of zombies in the west suddenly increased, and many ability users sent out from the base died. He thought my sister was dead too and snuck into my room at night. She closed her eyes in pain, but couldn't stop the tears from flowing. Half a month passed, and no one came back. The supplies in the base weren't enough, he said. I had to make a sacrifice for everyone. She didn't finish, but we all understood what she meant. But I went back, even though I was the only one left. I made it back alive. I killed that bastard and couldn't care less about those sycophants in the base. I'd heard about Luocheng base a long time ago. I heard that the base leader here is a woman who has taken in many women. They won't bully us. Natalia opened her eyes. The quick, acting recovery medicine I had brought was already taking effect. The wound on her abdomen was visibly healing, and she now had the strength to speak. Her eyes were filled with hatred. I worked day and night on missions so that Naomi could get better treatment in the base. How dare he? How dare they treat her like that? I was too weak and came back too late, which is why Naomi had to go through that suffering. Sis, it's not your fault. I'm okay. It's like getting bitten by a dog. In the apocalypse, I don't care about such things. Naomi smiled through her tears, trying to comfort Natalia. The atmosphere grew heavy, and neither Mabel nor I spoke. In this apocalypse where there were no rules or order, strength was the only way to have a say. However, due to their innate physical differences, women had a much higher failure rate during the evolution process compared to men. To survive, some people had no choice but to endure and submit. I was one of the lucky ones who awakened my abilities early. Even arrogant fools like Jackson, despite looking down on women, didn't dare to do anything out of line to me because my strength would teach them a lesson. 8. Since we were all heading to the same place, our group of 2 had now become 4. Sitting in the passenger seat, Mabel chattered non-stop about Luocheng base. Her eyes sparkled even more brightly when she talked about the base leader. Our base leader is definitely the most amazing person I've ever met. Then, remembering me, she quickly added, one of the most amazing. I smiled. I've heard of her, a rare healing type ability user. I sincerely praised. She's very impressive. The closer we got to the base, the fewer zombies there were. It seemed that the ability users of Luocheng base often came out to clear the surrounding zombies. We had a smooth journey. Mabel, you're finally back. Why did you take so long this time? I thought you were dead. As soon as Mabel got out of the car, a crowd of people swarmed around her. The variety of beautiful women was almost blinding. With great difficulty, Mabel managed to break free. After settling down Naomi and Natalia, she led me towards the base leader's office. Normally, registration doesn't require disturbing the base leader, but your situation is special. Sister Catherine, with you here, you'll basically be our base's top fighter. Behind a simple desk sat a seemingly harmless woman. Her black hair reached her shoulders, and she had 2 charming dimples when she smiled. Mabel, you're back. Her gentle gaze landed on me, and a complex expression flashed across her face before she smiled warmly at me. Hello, I'm Madeline. Hello, I'm Catherine. I've heard a lot about you. At first, I thought it was just a polite remark. It wasn't until after the apocalypse ended that I learned she had meant it sincerely. Base leader. Do you know, I worked so hard to recruit Sister Catherine. She's a 10th rank ability user. Mabel stood with her hands on her hips, waiting to see the surprise on Madeline's face. However, Madeline just smiled. Why do you think I sent you to gather information there? Do you think I'm a base leader for nothing? This was the speed at which large bases gathered information. We're glad you chose to join us. Although it's not very polite to say this. Your arrival has indeed solved an urgent problem for us. There's a mission that requires you to lead a team. Madeline detailed the entire situation to me. A reconnaissance team from Luocheng had discovered a batch of supplies in a shopping mall in the city center of the neighboring city, but the area was occupied by an 8th rank zombie, and an ordinary team couldn't possibly complete the mission. Luocheng base had sent their almost top-tier combat force. A 9th rank ability user leading 3 8th rank ability users to the neighboring city, but the information was wrong. The zombie had actually been on the verge of breaking through to the 9th rank and achieved the breakthrough during the battle, severely wounding the team leader. This is a third of our base's top-tier strength. Their safety is of utmost importance to us. If you can handle this, We won't need to ask other bases for help. Defeating this 9th rank zombie might even help our base produce another 10th rank powerhouse. Please, Catherine. Madeline's expression was grave. If I hadn't come, she had planned to coordinate with other bases to go together. The crystal core of a 9th rank zombie was extremely valuable. If they could handle it themselves, they wouldn't have to share the rewards with other bases. But as a healing type ability user, even though she was also a 10th rank ability user, she wasn't confident enough to face a zombie that had just broken through to the 9th rank. No problem, leave it to me. 9. I had planned to go alone, but I looked at Mabel and Natalia, who were trailing closely behind me, feeling a bit helpless. I won't have time to protect you. We don't need your protection. You deal with the 9th rank zombie, and we'll stay out of the way, Mabel assured me, patting her chest. I turned to Natalia. Mabel is at least a 7th rank ability user. You're only 5th rank, you could easily die. I'm not afraid of death. I just want to get stronger. Natalia's eyes were determined, showing no fear of death. Before we set off, Madeline sent another healing type ability user. Take Ian with you. First, stabilize the team leader's injuries. The situation of the elite team wasn't good. The zombie horde surrounded the entire shopping mall in layers. There was only static on the walkie-talkie, and we couldn't find the people we were supposed to rescue. Frowning at the twisted and strange zombies in front of me, I said, let's go, Mabel. After a round of attacks filled with lightning, thunder, and flames, a path paved with zombie remains was blasted open in the horde. Natalia used her control ability to block the zombies with obstacles, and the 4 of us charged deep into the zombie horde. Once we entered the shopping mall, the number of zombies decreased significantly. But everyone's expressions grew more solemn. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This kind of situation only occurred near the lair of a high-rank zombie. It wasn't that there were no zombies, they just didn't dare to approach. Is anyone there? If you receive this, please respond. Mabel started searching for them with the walkie-talkie. Screech, screech, hello, is anyone there? The voices on the walkie-talkie were a bit fuzzy, perhaps due to the distance. But there were definitely people speaking. I gestured for Mabel to keep going. Hello, hello. Is this the rescue team sent by the base? It's me, Mabel. Where are you? Mabel, why are you here? Go back quickly. You can't handle it. Don't worry, Vice Captain. I brought a 10th rank ability user with me. Where are you? We're in the power distribution room on the basement floor. I didn't know why the power distribution room wasn't only occupied by the elite team but also by Hunter and the others. Laurel was actually among the team members. I resisted the urge to crack open their heads to see if they still had their brains intact. Why would they bring an ordinary person to the lair of a 9th rank zombie? Jackson had a large tear-shaped wound on his shoulder, and cold sweat was beading on his forehead. As soon as he saw me, he sneered sarcastically. Catherine, what are you doing here? Did you crawl back to the base with your tail between your legs but couldn't find Brother Sue, so you came here instead? You're so infatuated. Why act so tough back then if you're like this now? The members of the elite team looked at Hunter and the others in confusion. These are the people sent by the base to rescue us. Her coming to rescue us. She's only an 8th rank ability user. Her combat power is even weaker than Brother Sue's. How can she rescue us? The vice captain, holding the unconscious captain, shot a look at Mabel. Didn't you say there was a 10th rank ability user? Yes, Sister Catherine is a 10th rank ability user. Don't listen to those idiots. Come to think of it, I should thank these blind fools. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have been able to recruit Sister Catherine, Mabel said. At this moment, Mabel certainly wouldn't hide my strength anymore. She wished the whole world knew that she had recruited a 10th rank ability user for the base. 10. Jackson glanced at Hunter, who remained silent, and then laughed. To join a large base, you really dare to lie about anything, Catherine. Let me tell you, she's definitely not a 10th rank ability user. She was only 8th rank 3 months ago. There's no way she could have broken through to the 10th rank all of a sudden. You've all been deceived by your base leader, damn. Women are so easy to fool, sending someone like her to rescue us. What a joke. Laurel chimed in meekly at this moment. Jackson is right. Sister Catherine herself said a few days ago that her breakthrough attempt failed. Why pretend to be a 10th rank ability user, you'll get everyone killed here. Slap, slap, Natalia suddenly moved, teleporting next to Jackson and Laurel and slapping each of them. She gave them a cold glance and said indifferently, first of all, we're not here to save you, your lives have nothing to do with us. Secondly, your mouths stink. Shut up. Hunter retracted his gaze from me with a complicated expression. Anger was hidden in his eyes, and energy surged around him as if he was about to attack Natalia in the next second. Hunter, you know what will happen if you lay a hand on my people. I released my energy and fixed my gaze on Hunter. The powerful oppressive force made his whole body stiffen. I've always been protective of those close to me and never allowed others to bully them. In the past, the people I protected were them, but now, they've been pushed into the category of outsiders. Although the captain of the elite team had been given medicine immediately, she remained unconscious. I didn't have time for verbal sparring with them. A low growl of a zombie came from a distance, and the people in the room suddenly looked dazed. I frowned and looked outside, resisting the mental intrusion of the zombie, and shouted, "Wake up!" A zombie that had broken through to the 9th rank had awakened mental attack abilities. People were more vulnerable mentally when they had lost a lot of blood. I looked at Mabel. Later, you lead everyone away first. I'll hold it off. Mabel nodded and helped support the captain from the other side, stepping out of the power distribution room. A tall zombie appeared at the end of the dimly lit corridor. The crooked safety sign still glowed green, casting an eerie light in the darkness. A strong stench of decay and blood overwhelmed. I instinctively covered my mouth and nose. Leave from the opposite direction, Catherine. Besides this high-rank zombie in the mall, there's also a 7th-rank zombie. You must be careful. The vice-captain's concern in his eyes seemed genuine. In contrast, the way Jackson and the others ran off in the opposite direction without looking back made me sigh at what ungrateful wretches I had protected before. Calling them beasts would be an insult to real beasts. I smiled and nodded. Don't worry, you go out first and let Ian treat your injuries. The combat power of a 9th-rank zombie was no joke. Its strength sent me staggering backward. Only after sensing that everyone's aura had disappeared from the mall did I coolly lock my gaze on the zombie. You hurt me just now, and I'm a little angry. Finally, I could unleash my abilities without restraint. In an instant, the sky darkened. A thick bolt of lightning as wide as a bowl pierced through the mall from the overcast sky. Looking at the rolling thunderclouds outside, a look of fear actually appeared on the disfigured face of the zombie in front of me. 11 high-rank zombies also had intelligence. It turned to run but was blocked by a bolt of lightning. Where do you think you're going? I'm not done yet. Weren't you trying to devour our 9th-rank human powerhouse earlier? Roar. With nowhere to escape, it let out a low growl, and its already tall body instantly doubled in size. Although its body had grown larger, its movements remained swift. In the blink of an eye, it grabbed me tightly in its palm. The force was so great that it seemed as if it would crush all my internal organs. Is this all you've got? I looked at the rotting, oversized head in front of me with dissatisfaction. It's so disgusting. Let's end this quickly. Purple lightning accumulated around me, making anyone who looked at it shudder. With a loud boom, the giant zombie's right hand was blown to pieces and scattered all over the ground. As its body fell, I lightly stepped on the ground and climbed up along the remaining half of the giant zombie's arm. It swung its body wildly, trying to shake me off. It knew that if I got the chance to shatter its head, it would surely die. I was as agile as a monkey, dodging its attacks left and right and running all the way towards the back of its head. The lightning in the sky had now fully accumulated. Responding to my command, a bolt of lightning struck down hard at my position. Dark brown zombie flesh and blood with a strong stench splattered all over me. I closed my eyes in disgust. It's so disgusting. I feel like dying. I reached out and grabbed the dazzling crystal core exposed inside the zombie's body. For me, a 9th-rank zombie crystal core was no longer of much use, but taking it back to the base could help another person in the base break through to become a 10th-rank ability user. Stop waiting, let's go. What if she dies and the zombie chases after us? This was Jackson's voice. Natalia said, if you want to leave, go by yourselves. Laurel pleaded, you can't be so selfish. Our car is broken. You can't just watch us die. I walked out of the mall covered in blood and stared coldly at them. Sister Catherine, seeing me appear, The worry on Mabel's face disappeared instantly. She rushed over joyfully and examined me carefully. Are you hurt? I said gently. I'm fine. This blood is from the zombie. Fortunately, the spatial ability user of the elite team carried some spare clothes with them. After changing in the car, I took Ian and another spatial ability user from the team to the mall to collect supplies. As I led the two of them inside, Leah suddenly said, Brother Sue, we should have a share of these supplies, right? Yeah, we also killed a lot of zombies, Laurel chimed in weakly, reaching out to tug at Hunter's sleeve. Mabel gasped in disbelief. Have you no shame? You did nothing but run for your lives, and now you have the nerve to ask for a share. Hunter didn't answer this question. Instead, he looked at me. Catherine, is the crystal core of that ninth rank zombie in your hands? There was blatant longing in his eyes. The difference between the 10th rank and the ninth rank was like the gap between heaven and earth. I glanced at him but remained silent. Catherine, I was wrong before. I was just playing around with Laurel. How could I really like her? How can an ordinary person without abilities compare to you? Catherine, come back. I promise you'll be the only one for me from now on. 12. Laurel tried her best to maintain her expression, but the look in her eyes still betrayed her inner resentment. Fed up with their disgusting behavior, I finally couldn't hold back and spoke. Your face is really thicker than that of an old sow. What makes you think I'd give you this ninth rank crystal core? Do you have your eye on it? I took out the glowing crystal core from my pocket, ignoring their covetous stares. I went through hell and high water to get this crystal core. But even if I were to throw it to a dog on the street, I wouldn't give it to you, Hunter. What makes you think that a 10th rank ability user like me would be interested in a mere 9th rank like you? Could you have killed this 9th rank zombie so easily if Brother Sue hadn't injured it first? I didn't expect Laurel to still defend Hunter at this point. She was going all out to cling to Hunter. By injured, do you mean those barely noticeable wounds on the zombie that were almost healed? Your Brother Sue ran away after just one move against the zombie, leaving our captain to fight alone. If it weren't for you people, our captain wouldn't have been so seriously injured, and now you're asking our rescue team for things. I spit on you. The vice captain had now figured out the situation and didn't hold back when speaking to the people from the Tongxing base. The sky, which had just cleared up, was now covered by another dark thundercloud. Lightning coiled within the cloud like a giant snake, appearing and disappearing. If you want the supplies, sure, cross this thundercloud, and you can take whatever you want, I said calmly, enveloping the entire mall with the imposing thundercloud. Catherine, are you just going to let us die? The base has no supplies left. Do you want everyone to starve to death because of you? Seeing that she couldn't get the supplies, Leah started to angrily throw baseless accusations at me. Is it my fault that there are no supplies? Don't you know how you squandered resources during the months I was away? If you have nothing to eat, go pick up the food you threw away from the trash. After saying this, I walked away without looking back and, with the help of the spatial ability user, carried a lot of supplies. I also took care of the remaining zombies with crystal cores. After leaving the mall, the captain of the elite team had woken up under Ian's treatment. Her lips were pale, and she looked extremely weak due to blood loss, but she still thanked me politely. Thank you for saving us. It's okay, we're comrades. Get some rest. We're going back to the base now. I soothed her softly. She nodded and closed her eyes again. Only then did I take out the crystal core I had just obtained from my pocket and hand it to Mabel. This is a 7th rank crystal core. If you need help breaking through, I can guard you. How can I accept this? You got it. Mabel waved her hands, insisting that I exchange the crystal core for points at the base. I have a 9th rank crystal core. Do you think I'll be short of points? I took out a pile of crystal cores from my bag. Natalia, come and take a 5th rank one too. Jackson and Leah eyed the crystal cores in my hands greedily. After all, we also killed a lot of zombies. We should get a share too, right? Being repeatedly bothered by these pests, I felt extremely irritated. Before anyone could react, I suddenly kicked Jackson 10 meters away. He crashed hard into the wall. Do I have too good a temper, or have I given you too much leeway, that you keep provoking me? 13. Jackson looked at me in shock, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Catherine, when he saw my impatient expression, he quickly shut up. For all those years, I had always been the protector. No matter how disdainful or disrespectful they were towards me, I always stood in front of them, because I considered them my comrades. I always believed that we would support each other in this unpredictable apocalypse, but reality had taught me that I was wrong. Not everyone deserved my kindness. I didn't hold back with that kick. I had likely broken at least 3 of Jackson's ribs. Leah didn't dare to make a sound and cowered behind Hunter. If you're okay, then leave on your own, I said coldly. Glancing at Hunter before getting into the car, I didn't have any intention of taking revenge on them, but I definitely wouldn't be so kind as to help them out again. I had already cut this cancer out of my future plans. After bringing the elite team back to the base, my reputation soared. Wherever I went, people would call me Sister Catherine. Mabel was right, this was indeed a great place. The people here were positive and motivated. Those with abilities went out to fight, while those without took care of all the logistics work. Everyone was working hard to survive, so I handed the crystal cores to the base leader and let her decide who should use them for breakthroughs. One evening 3 months later, Naomi knocked on my door. In the 3 months since I last saw her, the little girl had gained some weight. Her smiling face showed no signs of the hardships she had endured. Some girls may seem delicate on the outside, but they have an inner strength stronger than anyone else's. She took out a first-rank crystal core from her pocket. Sister Catherine, I exchanged 3 months' worth of accumulated points for this. I want you to help me evolve. I was taken aback and blurted out, why don't you ask your sister? Naomi shook her head. Sister wouldn't agree. She keeps going on missions just so I can live a better life. Every time I can only wait at home. I don't want to feel that anxiety anymore. She clenched the crystal core in her hand. I want to fight by her side. The girl in front of me had a look in her eyes that was very similar to her sister's, full of vitality. Evolution failure can be fatal. Do you understand? Naomi smiled. I know, but every day in the base, there are sisters attempting evolution. The evolution potions developed by the base's laboratory can greatly increase the success rate. I want to give it a try, even if there's a risk of death. I'm not afraid. I don't want my sister to work so hard for me. The development speed of the large base is incomparable to the place where I used to stay. They have even developed a potion that can help humans evolve. Although it can't guarantee a 100% success rate of evolution, it has helped many women who want to become stronger succeed in evolving. I was silent for a long time and finally gave into her shining eyes. If I turn into a zombie, Sister Catherine, don't hold back. I've left a letter for my sister, and she won't blame you. Naomi's eyes were a bit moist. I understood the fear and reluctance in her heart and admired her determination. I will do my best to help you. She nodded, swallowed the crystal core, and drank the evolution potion. In a short while, her body became hot and her face turned red. When Natalia knocked on my door in a panic, Naomi was still in a sweet dream. Sister Catherine, what about my sister? Seeing the smile on my face, Natalia calmed down. Natalia, your sister is as brave as you. I casually brushed off the dangerous situation of Naomi's evolution. She has successfully evolved and has a very precious healing ability. 14. Natalia, who usually has a cold face, burst into tears at this moment. When I came back and saw the letter she left, my heart almost stopped. If Naomi died too, I don't know if I could still live. She covered her face and cried softly, and tears fell through her fingers. Somehow, I felt a bit envious. My relatives died at the beginning of the apocalypse, and my evolution was thanks to them. My hesitation and reluctance made my mother, who had turned into a zombie, bite my neck. If my relatives were still alive, I would be as desperate as Natalia. Okay, stop crying. It's a happy thing. Take Naomi back quickly, she's exhausted. Since Naomi successfully evolved, she has taken Ian's place in the team. When we go on a mission, Naomi sits in the car and communicates with us via the walkie-talkie. Occasionally, when we're not on a mission, Naomi also follows other teams on missions. After all, a healing ability user is a highly sought-after and precious resource in the whole base. Natalia, there's a good chance your sister is a genius. Mabel looked at Naomi, who had broken through to the 5th rank, and marveled. Thank you, sisters, for the crystal cores you got for me. Naomi smiled sweetly and poured Mabel a cup of hot tea. Come on, don't be modest. Even with crystal cores, not everyone can successfully break through. You're the one who's amazing. Mabel tapped Naomi on the nose, and the two of them laughed together. With a smile on her lips, Natalia looked out the window worriedly. It's been winter from start to finish this year, and the zombies are becoming more and more active. I heard that many small bases have been breached by zombies. We've also taken in a lot of people who fled from outside. What on earth is going on? I was silent, and I felt a bit uneasy when I remembered the conversation Madeline had with me privately before. According to the news from other bases, a 10th rank zombie was found on both the north and south sides. They were driving the zombies towards the major bases. It seemed that they wanted to wipe out humanity, although I don't want to admit it. Humans of the same rank are no match for zombies. They are born without pain, which already gives them an advantage, not to mention the zombies' inexhaustible abilities and their natural strength. The 10th rank ability users of the central base of the country all went out, but they still couldn't defeat the zombies, so some time ago, the central base sent an invitation to Luocheng base, inviting Madeline and me to go for support. This is a matter of human survival, and we can't refuse. Madeline has agreed, but the affairs of Luocheng base need to be handed over clearly, so we haven't left yet. I didn't tell Mabel and the others because I was afraid they would be. The 10th rank zombies are not something they need to worry about. We will bear the responsibility. 15. Madeline finally gave the 9th rank crystal core from last time to the captain of the elite team. She also handed over all the affairs of Luocheng base to her and appointed her as the acting base leader. If we don't come back, please protect everyone in the base. She bowed solemnly and handed the seal representing the base leader to the team captain. Just as Madeline and I hadn't driven a kilometer, we met a large motorcade head-on. Dozens of modified cars were driving straight towards the Luoyang base. Catherine, let's go back. Madeline's expression was serious. Without saying a word, I turned the car around and followed the cars back. Luocheng base had long built solid protective measures over the years, and the tall wall blocked the motorcade outside. The man standing under the gate looked unruly and shouted frivolously, "Hey, ladies, our base was destroyed by zombies. We heard that the beautiful women in Luocheng base are kind-hearted. We drove for a whole day and night. Please take us in." The acting base leader stood on the wall and said cautiously, "We have already taken in a lot of people in Luocheng base. And there are no extra supplies to distribute now. I'm really sorry, but please go back. You don't have ordinary companions in your base." "Yes, but they're all dead. Do you think we should take those useless people with us when we're fleeing?" The people in the car got out one after another, and they were almost all men. Some of them were holding one or two pretty women in their arms. The acting base leader's face darkened, and her voice turned cold. "Since you still have so much combat power, why did you abandon them?" The man downstairs looked as if it was only natural. "Otherwise, what should we do? Should we fight for those lowly slaves in the base? We can just take in some people as free labor later." The acting base leader was very angry and said through gritted teeth, "People with different paths don't work together. Please leave. We can't take you in." "Hey, you bitch, I'm talking to you nicely, but you're pushing your luck, aren't you?" The man spat angrily. "Jeremy, these bitches won't listen. You have to take action yourself." He said this respectfully to the person in the front car, bowing and scraping like a lackey. The person who got out of the car had a fierce expression. His well-developed muscles and the occasional imposing manner proved that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. "Get down and open the door for me," Madeline said softly. "This person is the base leader of Jeremy's base, and he's also a 10th rank ability user. He must have heard the news that we're leaving Luocheng for the central base, so he came at this time. He thought that there was no one in Luocheng base who could rival him." Just then, another person got out of the car and clung to Jeremy like a boneless person. "Jeremy, just blast the door open. I'm tired from sitting in the car for so long." It was Laurel. Jeremy's thick right hand groped Laurel's buttocks. "Are you tired from sitting in the car or from sitting on me?" 16. Laurel gently punched Jeremy coquettishly. Laurel appeared here. "So where were Hunter and the others?" "I searched the crowd but didn't find their shadows." At this time, Jeremy had listened to Laurel. His hands gradually turned black, as if they were forged from metal. He stepped closer to the gate. "Catherine, let's get out of the car." Madeline quickly opened the car door and in a flash, she was at the gate. "Jeremy, try taking one more step forward." Madeline had been gentle with everyone in the past few months, but now, with a cold face, the majesty of the base leader finally showed. Jeremy looked at Madeline and me, who suddenly appeared and stopped in his tracks. "Base leader Madeline, why are you still here, if I wasn't here? Would my Luocheng base have become yours, Jeremy? You didn't follow the national arrangement and didn't go to the front line for support. Is this why you're attacking my base? Very well, I'll reply to the central base now. Someone is trying to take advantage of the situation, so I can't go to the front line. Hearing that Madeline was going to report to the central base, Jeremy's face changed. If they really angered the central base, no one would end well. Don't, base leader Madeline. Please don't, we were just asking. If you can't take us in, we'll leave now. Just asking. Who called my acting base leader a bitch just now? Get out here, Madeline shouted sharply, and the man who had been spouting insults turned pale with fear. Jeremy kicked him out, looked at Madeline and then at me with a bad expression. Hurry up and come out to apologize. Madeline stepped forward and slapped him twice. Do you think we women are easy to bully? You're just a dog relying on its master. You're only a 7th rank ability user, but you dare to bark at our 9th rank ability users. What gives you the right? Is it that tiny thing between your legs? Laurel looked at Jeremy in shock. Jeremy, why are you afraid of them? They're just 2 women. Jeremy's face darkened, and he slapped her in the face. What the hell do you know? Does it matter if they're men or women when it comes to abilities? With the support of a 10th rank healing ability user, how can I beat the 2 of them? As Jeremy said, with a high-rank healing ability user as a companion on the battlefield, I can unleash 120% of my strength. This is why healing abilities are so precious. The situation had been exposed, and Jeremy was about to leave with his people. Madeline raised her hand and said leisurely, "Wait a minute, I like the girls in your base. I want them to stay and keep us company. I wonder if base leader Jeremy is willing to part with them." The thunderclouds in the sky were surging, and Jeremy's fleshy face twitched. Of course, but it depends on their own will. Is there anyone who wants to join our Luocheng base? Women won't bully women. Madeline returned to her usual gentleness. At first, some people hesitated, but when they looked up at the girls on the wall peeking at them, they suddenly burst into tears. Me, I want to join, I'm willing too. Some people broke free from the iron arms of the men beside them and ran towards Madeline and me. Only Laurel and 2 or 3 other women still clung tightly to the men's arms. There's no point in trying to save those who don't want to save themselves. 17. Sister Catherine, save me. A sudden cry for help came from the end of the motorcade. I frowned and slowly walked towards the car at the end of the motorcade and knocked on the car window. The car window slowly rolled down, and Leah, whose clothes were in disarray, was sitting inside, along with Hunter and Jackson, who seemed to be knocked unconscious. Leah was in tears. Sister Catherine, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Save me. After our base was overwhelmed by the zombie horde, we went to seek refuge in Jeremy's base, but that bitch Laurel actually tried to encourage these bastards to defile me. Hunter and Jackson were knocked out while trying to save me. I'm sorry for you, Sister Catherine. Please, save me. Leah's hands were tied, and she desperately banged her head against the car window. Let them down. Jeremy sensed my displeasure and quickly ordered someone to open the car door and untie them. After Madeline used her ability to wake up Hunter and Jackson, she said to me, I can take them in for your sake. After all, there are still some men in the base. Jackson pounced at my feet in a panic. Sister Catherine, I was wrong. I'm not human. I'm worse than a pig or a dog. Take me in. I finally understand your good intentions. It was all our fault before. Please forgive us. Sister Catherine, Hunter sat on the ground dejectedly and said nothing. As a 9th-rank powerhouse, he probably didn't understand why he had ended up in this situation. I'll save you because I still have a conscience. You, as ability users, can find refuge in other bases no matter what. I won't take you in. I mercilessly refused their request. Hunter smiled bitterly. Catherine, I seem to have made a huge mistake. Is there still a chance for us? I shook my head and said seriously, we're on different paths. Since he looked down on me because my strength was not as good as his, our souls could no longer resonate. To soothe everyone's emotions, Madeline and I had to stay in the base for another half a month. Madeline still sent a letter to the central base, asking the central base to ensure the safety of Luocheng base while we were on our way to the front line. We left in the middle of the night, and we didn't want everyone to see us off. However, just 100 meters out, a circle of fireworks ignited on the tall wall. From a distance, it looked like a fire dragon coiled there. Mabel waved a bright national flag in her hand, and we saw many people waving goodbye to us. The voices of women came together, forming a powerful force that resounded through the sky and earth. Come on, Luocheng Base. We lost 2 of our brothers just for this batch of supplies. The battle between humans and zombies, the perfect people, lasted for 5 years. After Madeline handed over the potions developed by the base to the central base, a steady stream of fresh blood joined us. In the autumn of the 9th year of the apocalypse, Mabel, a 10th rank ability user, reported to the central base from Luocheng Base. In the winter of the 11th year of the apocalypse, Natalia, a 10th rank ability user, reported to the central base. In the spring of the 12th year of the apocalypse, Naomi, a 10th rank healing powerhouse, reported to the central base. In the 14th year of the apocalypse, under the siege of nearly 20 10th rank powerhouses, we finally defeated the 2 10th rank zombies one by one. Thus, the first heaven rank powerhouse in the world was born. In the 17th year of the apocalypse, the laboratory of the central base upgraded the potion formula, increasing the evolution success rate to 80%, almost achieving universal evolution. In the 20th year of the apocalypse, the central base shared the formula with countries around the world and launched the battle for human revival. After the central instrument detected that the last zombie in the world had been eliminated, the apocalypse that had lasted for 22 years finally ended. Humans entered a new era. The end. Story 2. Entering the apocalyptic game. There can only be one winner. The other players tricked me into choosing the telling the truth ability. They laughed at me, saying that those who tell the truth die quickly in this game. Unexpectedly, I immediately reported the situation to the country and leaned on the country for support. With just my words, I soared alongside the country. 60 players were transported to the apocalyptic game world. The system informed us that all players had already died in the real world. To have a chance of resurrection, we must survive until the end of the game. Each player must choose a corresponding ability. The shelf displayed various abilities, and the players couldn't wait to start grabbing them. Suddenly, someone patted me on the shoulder. The tall man numbered 23 asked me with concern, "Player 22, how did you die?" I scratched my head and replied, "I think I was hit and killed by a car running a red light." Player 23 said, "That's really tragic. My name is Finn, and I also died in a car accident. I'll take care of you in the game." I was deeply touched, thinking I had met a kind-hearted person. He then said, "Little sister, choose this ability. It's extremely powerful." There were only a few abilities left on the shelf. Trusting him, I chose that ability. When I took it, I saw that it was the telling the truth ability. Finn couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, so stupid, you actually chose it." Other players also looked our way. Telling the truth. Come on, telling the truth in an apocalyptic game is just ridiculous. The sooner you die, the sooner you can be reborn. This kind of game isn't for fools. Everyone has chosen their abilities, and each player has an initial identity. The apocalypse will begin in 1 year. Please prepare as soon as possible. Please note that there is only one winner in this game. Only the player who survives until the end is eligible for the resurrection reward. Now, teleportation commences. Before teleportation, Finn suddenly stopped me. "Oh, I forgot to tell you, the person who hit and killed you. It was me, idiot." He triumphantly made a throat-slitting gesture, looking extremely arrogant. 2. The light shifted, and when I opened my eyes again, I was standing in front of the sink in the women's restroom. The system forcefully stuffed identity information into my mind. "Look, if it isn't Hannah." A sarcastic voice came from behind me. Nora, relying on being the daughter of the school board chairman, had bullied many people. I turned to leave, but her lackeys blocked my way. 3 people, 6 hands. They pushed and shoved me against the corner. Nora took out my wallet. "Poor students shouldn't be allowed to study at our school." I opened my mouth to beg for mercy, but what came out shocked everyone. "Your father is no longer on the school board. He owes 900 million yuan from gambling on football. The police will come to arrest him this afternoon." Nora's smile froze on her face. She raised her hand to hit me. My mouth kept going. "Your boyfriend Gabriel is lying to you. He has AIDS and has infected your best friend. Your medical examination report from the day before yesterday will come out today. I suggest you go to the hospital now." But it wasn't her hitting me. It was her phone falling to the ground. A WeChat message was displayed on the screen. Nora, look at the news. Your father. Nora turned pale and hurriedly picked up her phone. Her lackey whispered, could what she said be true? My mouth continued to rub salt in the wound. Oh, and you too, to the left. Your mother is having an affair with Lao Wang from next door at the Hilton this afternoon. To the right. Your father's illegitimate child will come tomorrow. The three of them dashed out of the restroom as if they had seen a ghost. Nora's hysterical shout came from behind. Dad, answer my call. I leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. It seems that this, telling the truth, ability is quite powerful. 3. To figure out how my ability worked, I decided to conduct an experiment. I couldn't ask and answer questions myself. My ability only activated when others asked me questions. My roommate took out a high math problem. Before I could even finish reading it, my mouth blurted out the answer. When my roommate asked me the first 300 digits of pi, my mouth almost couldn't stop. My roommate's eyes lit up. She took out a poster of her favorite celebrity. Is he secretly married? He has 2 children who are old enough to help with household chores. The mother of the children is XX. She grabbed my hand. Hannah, your ability can make money. But my mouth said, think bigger. The apocalypse is coming soon. And I must report it to the country immediately. Under my roommate's shocked gaze, my mouth recited a phone number. Write this down and send 3 text messages to this number. My mouth made 3 predictions. In the Eagle country's presidential election, all will be elected president with 277 votes tomorrow. The 22nd typhoon, Ginkgo, will change its course at 5 a.m. on the 6th, moving towards the west and heading towards the waters near the Bashi Channel. On November 6th, the closing prices of the A-share market will be Shanghai Composite Index at 3,383.81 points, Shenzhen Component Index at 10,968.14 points, and Chinext Index at 2,265.83 points. Shortly after sending the text messages, the mysterious number replied, who are you? What do you want? I replied, when all 3 predictions come true tomorrow, come and find me. Then I turned off my phone and started organizing materials. The next day, when I turned on my phone, a flood of ringtones and text message alerts poured in. Just as I was at a loss, a man in a suit appeared at the classroom door. As I left, I heard my classmates whispering that I had gotten into trouble and was being arrested. For an hour later, I was sitting in a white room with a metal table in front of me. There were cameras on all 4 walls. Besides Minister George from the Ministry of State Security, there were 3 experts, a military personnel, a scientist, and another expert. All 3 predictions were completely accurate. Minister George closed the file. Hannah, I need you to undergo a series of tests to verify your ability. If you can truly predict the future, it's of utmost importance to national security, the military representative asked seriously. If you can really predict the future, tell us, what major decisions will our military department make next Monday? My mouth automatically replied, next Monday. You will decide to add 3 new military bases in the South China Sea and approve a research and development plan for a new, type stealth fighter jet, codenamed Goshawk. His face changed, and he quickly recorded on his tablet. The scientist asked, will quantum computers eventually be commercialized? When, currently, China will overcome the problem of quantum decoherence and achieve stable control of 128 qubits, according to the plan. Practical quantum computers will be available in 3 years, but after the apocalypse arrives, all this will be interrupted. The last expert, whose identity hadn't been revealed, asked gently, Hannah, do you know who I am? A micro-expression expert, observing whether I'm lying. The micro-expression expert nodded at Minister George. Minister George signaled the others to leave, leaving just the 2 of us. Hannah, you mentioned the apocalypse earlier. What does that mean? I told him that a disaster would strike in a year and that only 1 person could survive until the end. Over the next hour, I elaborated in detail on the transmission routes, fatality rate, and incubation period of the zombie virus, as well as how it would destroy global order. Minister George's expression grew graver. If what you say is true, this will be the greatest crisis in human history. I took out the documents I had organized these days. This is the response plan I've drawn up. It covers food reserves, medical supplies, border control, social order, etc. Each item has been simulated to minimize the mortality rate as much as possible. Minister George quickly scanned the documents, and his frown gradually relaxed. The thinking is very clear. China has a head start. If we start planning now, we can save the most people during this catastrophe. And what? I also know the movements of the other players. This is a game. Minister George keenly caught the key word. My mouth began to explain the game rules, the players' identities, and the existence of the system in detail. Even Minister George, who had seen many big events, couldn't hide his shock. The other players only need to survive until the end themselves, but I want everyone to survive together. That's why I contacted the country. I said seriously, I need the country's strength. And the country needs my ability. Minister George pondered for a moment. You will be added to the highest level protection list. From now on, every one of your predictions will directly influence national decisions. I promise that we will use the power of the entire country to prevent this disaster. It's difficult to survive in the apocalypse with the telling the truth ability alone, but I found the right helper. This country is worthy of my truth. 5. The apocalypse was drawing closer. The whole country entered a state of highest level alert, and the construction of shelters began secretly everywhere. I was in a manor in Beijing, surrounded by heavily armed special forces who guarded it day and night. Every day, people from the military, scientific research institutions, and government departments came to consult me. My schedule was packed. Over the past few months, China had seemed to be on a roll, unlocking decades worth of future human technology. The electronic screen in the conference room displayed various progress details densely. Quantum computer RD progress, 80%, controlled nuclear fusion testing phase 3, room temperature superconductivity preparing for trial production. 9th generation aircraft made a major breakthrough. Brain machine interface experiment completed. Underground agriculture technology trial phase completed. I looked at the green data flashing on the giant electronic screen in the conference room with satisfaction. These were not fantasies or beautiful visions on PPT, but real, life scientific and technological achievements. Hannah, these data are very encouraging. Minister George walked up to me and handed me a cup of hot tea. We owe it all to you, I exclaimed. It's incredible. Under normal circumstances, it might take 10 or 20 years to achieve all this. When the national machine operates at full speed, its efficiency is astonishing. Minister George's eyes sparkled with pride. Do you want to see more? I nodded. Minister George tapped on his tablet a few times, and the large screen switched to another interface. A national map. National Emergency Supplies Reserve Completion Rate, 89%. Shelters in first tier cities construction completed, 76%. Shelters in second tier cities construction completed, 63%. Shelters in third tier and below cities planning completed, 85%. Hundreds of blinking blue dots were densely distributed on the map. These are the underground shelters we've built so far. Each shelter can accommodate 100,000 people and is equipped with a complete living facility and medical system. Most importantly, they are completely sealed. Once the zombie virus breaks out, people who move into the shelters can be completely isolated from the virus. Looking at these blue dots, I exclaimed. How much did it cost to build so many shelters? Minister George smiled mysteriously. That's where you come in. Thanks to your ability, we've saved tens of billions of yuan in RD funds. Plus, with the strategies you provided to the economic experts for global resource reserve planning, the national treasury is well stocked. I felt a bit embarrassed by the praise and scratched my head. Ah, right. The screen switched again, this time showing a military map. Hundreds of red dots were marked on the map, covering all strategic locations across the country. The deployment of Special Forces units to deal with zombies is complete. These 500 Special Forces units are specifically for combating zombies. They are equipped with the most advanced weapons and equipment and have a much higher training level than regular troops. We've also established dozens of biological isolation zones across the country to house suspected infected people. These areas are heavily guarded and provide the best medical conditions. On the large screen, people were busy yet orderly, and everyone had a determined look on their faces. I couldn't help but sigh. This was the power of our national machine. In the face of disaster, it was always organized, planned, and highly capable of action. but not all national machines have such capabilities. Only China in the world can do it. There's one more thing you might want to know. Minister George smiled mysteriously and led me to the other end of the conference room, where there was a thick metal door. A huge control center was revealed before my eyes. Dozens of technicians sat at the operation consoles, and the screens on the wall displayed real-time images from around the world, from Times Square in New York to Trafalgar Square in London, from Shinjuku in Tokyo to the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The global monitoring system has become this high definition. I was almost speechless, Minister George said proudly. Now we have access to 90% of the world's real-time intelligence. Once the zombie virus breaks out, we'll know immediately and take corresponding measures. Just then, a young intelligence officer hurried over. Minister George, we've detected abnormal activities at the Eagle country's BL4 laboratory. Minister George's expression immediately turned serious. What's going on? We spotted the figure of a player having abnormal contact with the laboratory. I had already told Minister George all the information about the players, so to speak. We now knew the movements of all the players. The intelligence officer brought up a clear photo, and I immediately recognized that annoying face, Finn. My heart sank. Minister George looked at me, seemingly understanding my thoughts. He asked me, "Why is Finn at the laboratory?" My mouth automatically replied, Finn's ability is to control and generate viruses. He collaborated with the Eagle country's BL4 laboratory to synthesize the zombie virus in advance and create the first batch of zombies. It turned out that Finn was the source of the virus, chosen by the system. Ding dong. The voice of the system rang in my mind. I opened the player game interface, and the system was issuing an announcement. Welcome back, players, due to the excellent performance of player 23. Who has developed the zombie virus? The apocalypse has been advanced. Player 2, damn, can it still be played like this? Player 18, fortunately, I have built a safe house in advance. It won't be a problem to survive until the end. Goodbye, everyone. Player 60, if we find player 23 and kill him, will it be over? Player 23, Finn. Player 60, I can see what you're saying. Then you'll be the first to die. Player 60, don't scare people. Player 23, hee hee. I closed the interface and took a deep breath. The apocalypse has been advanced. My words caused a commotion in the conference room. Minister George was silent for a moment and then began to ask me questions systematically. What are the characteristics of the zombie virus? What about its transmission routes and the incubation period? He asked and I answered. Soon, we figured out the transmission routes, incubation period, and infection symptoms of the zombie virus. Can we develop a vaccine or an antidote? This is the game rules set by the system. The virus is essentially an energy entity and does not follow the principles of conventional biology. Humans cannot develop a vaccine or medicine to completely prevent the infection. Minister George's face became even graver. Then what means do we have to fight against it? Zombies have weaknesses. Destroying the brainstem can immediately stop their activities. The activity of the zombie virus will be greatly reduced in an environment below -30 degrees Celsius or above 70 degrees Celsius. The scientists in the conference room recorded this information. The laboratory in the Eagle country definitely didn't expect that China had a more comprehensive understanding of the virus than they did. Suddenly, my ability to tell the truth told us a crucial piece of information. A blue crystal stone will be produced in the brains of zombies. This crystal stone is the material carrier of the system and can enable some humans to develop special abilities. Blue crystal stone. Minister George quickly grasped the key term. Is this the weakness of the system? Not exactly, but it is the connection point between the system and the real world. More importantly, when humans with potential come into contact with the crystal stone, there is a chance for them to awaken their special abilities. Minister George's eyes lit up. Then, which people have this potential? Gene testing can conduct a preliminary screening, and then human trials can be carried out. However, that is the strategy of other countries in the later stage. Our country doesn't need to do that. I can directly tell you which people within China will awaken their special abilities. The people present looked at me with even more clarity in their eyes. My mouth began to report a long list of names and identity information. The intelligence personnel recorded it quickly, and on the other side, arrangements were already being made to contact these potential ability users. There are more than 3 0.000 ability users in the world, and China accounts for 578 of them. Suddenly, I said a familiar name, Gabriel, a student at the military academy, will awaken the ability of biological manipulation, which can control the cell activities within organisms. Minister George was stunned. My son, I nodded, yes. His ability plays a crucial role in this virus crisis. If we get the crystal stones from the brains of the first batch of zombies one step ahead, China will be able to have a super powerful ability army, even more powerful than the players. At that time, the other 59 players selected by the system will be no match at all. 4 hours later, the national emergency mobilization began. On the first day, 108 people were summoned. Looking at these potential ability users behind the glass, I, who was full of confidence, suddenly felt a little worried. A girl with double ponytails, wearing a pink Lolita dress, was taking a selfie. Next to her was a burly man with a full beard, showing off his tattoos with his bare chest. In the corner, a little boy in his early teens was playing with his watch, and an old man with a walking stick was sitting on a chair, dozing off. Gabriel, Minister George's only son, was also among them. He was wearing a military academy uniform and stood out from the crowd. Most of them looked dazed, not understanding why the country would suddenly come to them. After all, the apocalypse, zombies, and such things only appear in movies. The secretary standing next to me whispered, "They don't look like heroes who can save the world." To be honest, they really don't. But I don't look like someone who holds the lifeline of the world either. In the following days, there will be dedicated personnel to conduct special training for them, because in a month, some people will go to the battlefield. 7. I was checking a transparent large screen in the safe house. The screen was divided into more than 20 small windows, and each window displayed surveillance images from different angles. The venue of the Eagle Country Youth Games. Gabriel, put on your contact lenses. I can't see anything. I was referring to a pair of high-tech contact lenses that could transmit everything Gabriel saw to the screen here. Why should I listen to a little girl like you? Gabriel's voice came through the earphone, with a hint of impatience. He was adjusting his sportswear, and there was a China competition badge hanging on his chest. Minister George, just put them on when I tell you to. While putting on the contact lenses, Gabriel said, Dad, can we be a bit more scientific, you brat? What did I tell you before you left? Obey Hannah's command in everything, or I'll beat you when you come back. Gabriel put on the contact lenses reluctantly. Finn and his group planned to release the virus at today's opening ceremony to infect young athletes from various countries. He adjusted the incubation period of the virus to 14 days, and when the athletes returned to their home countries, they would become sources of transmission. Minister George contacted the military expert through the communicator. Is the special operations team ready? All in position. We have 30 special forces soldiers disguised as staff members, distributed throughout the venue. In addition, the 5 potential ability users led by Gabriel have also entered the venue as athletes. I brought up another screen, which displayed a 3-dimensional map of the venue. The red dots marked the positions of our personnel, and the yellow dots were the suspicious targets we had locked on. Where is Finn? Minister George asked. My mouth automatically replied, he didn't come to the scene in person. Instead, he sent 3 players who joined hands with him. Player 27, Harrison, has the ability of instant teleportation. Player 41, Victoria, has the ability of mental control. And player 59, Isaac, has the ability of electromagnetic interference. They are disguised as staff members of the Eagle Country and lurking in the venue. The supercomputer immediately brought up the profiles of these 3 players and showed them to our personnel present. What is their action plan? They plan to spread the virus to every corner of the venue through the ventilation system. Gabriel punched the wall. Damn it, most of the people here are from their own country. They don't care about human lives at all. On the screen, athletes from various countries entered the venue one after another, and half of the audience seats were already occupied. The opening ceremony would begin in half an hour. Suddenly, my mouth said uncontrollably, they have taken action ahead of time. Harrison has already reached the ventilation system control room. I stared at the screen and saw several yellow dots start to move quickly. Gabriel, there is a teen doctor from the Eagle Country wearing a white coat in the corridor of the North Gate. He is holding a silver suitcase in his hand. And that's the virus carrier inside. Suddenly, the surveillance images on the screen one by one turned into snowflakes. The technician, the signal has been interfered with. They had prepared in advance and let Isaac release strong electromagnetic waves, interfering with all satellite signals. Fortunately, the equipment on Gabriel and the Special Forces was the latest research achievement of China, and the impact was relatively small, but the signal also became extremely unstable. My heart was pounding, but my mouth was unusually calm. Gabriel and Team A go to the ventilation system on the second floor. Player 41, Victoria, is at the door. She can control your thoughts. Don't look her in the eyes. Team B goes to intercept the virus. Everyone be careful. A high concentration of the virus can turn people into zombies instantly. This is easy. Gabriel took out a piece of cloth and blindfolded himself, and the screen went black. I turned to Minister George and asked, "Can he do it, Minister George? Shouldn't I be the one asking you this question? But it's not me boasting. My son's combat skills are the best in the military academy." There were sounds of fighting in the earphone, and then came Gabriel's rapid breathing. "I've taken care of one and captured Victoria. Damn it, the one with the teleportation ability ran away." Team B reported, "The interception failed. The teleporting player, player 27, took the virus. He has gone to the main pipeline of the ventilation system." My mouth automatically reported the coordinates, the equipment room below the central grandstand, where the virus can be directly released into the main venue. "Where is the equipment room?" Gabriel asked while running, his voice a bit due to running. "Turn left, go through 2 doors, and then go downstairs. Put on your gas mask first," I commanded. "Be careful. There are 10 mercenaries from the laboratory there, and they are guarding the stairway." "Received," Gabriel replied briefly. On the screen, we ran along with Gabriel, and 10 mercenaries appeared in front of us, holding weapons in their hands. The picture was interrupted for a moment, and there was a commotion in the communicator, which seemed to be the sounds of intense gunfire and fighting. When the picture was connected again, Gabriel had already rushed into the equipment room. In the equipment room, Harrison was standing in front of the main control console of the ventilation system, holding an open silver suitcase in his hand. "Stop," Gabriel shouted, but it was already too late. Harrison turned around, with a strange smile on his face. "You're too late." In the ventilation pipeline behind him, a light blue gas was being sucked into the system. Gabriel pounced on him, but he disappeared in an instant. It's too late. The virus has already entered the pipeline. There is only one way, Gabriel. You must destroy the main fan. It's behind the wall on your right." Just then, 3 mercenaries rushed in from outside the door. Gabriel got into a fight with them, and he watched as the blue gas was sucked into the system. At this time, the 3 mercenaries covered their throats and fell to the ground in pain. The entire equipment room was filled with the virus, and they inevitably inhaled a high concentration of the virus. Gabriel took the opportunity to grab a fire axe and struck the wall fiercely. After a few blows, the wall broke open, revealing the huge fan device. He swung the axe at the power supply line of the fan. Sparks flew, and the fan stopped roaring, but the concentration of the blue gas in the equipment room was even higher. Although Gabriel was wearing a gas mask, his skin was broken during the fight, and the virus contaminated his mucous membranes. The 3 mercenaries on the ground twisted and roared strangely. Their skin gradually decayed, dripping with pus, and their eyes turned blood red. Seeing such a scene, Minister George clenched his fists. He was worried about his son. The special forces outside the door subdued all the mercenaries. When they were about to rush in, I quickly stopped them. Going in now is suicide. But Gabriel, there were dense beads of sweat on my forehead, but my mouth said firmly, "Just leave Gabriel alone in there." Minister George suddenly looked at me, his eyes full of shock, but he had to trust the judgment of my ability to tell the truth. I said to Gabriel under pressure, "You were infected in a small area of your mucous membranes, and the rate of is slower than these 3 people. Hold on, once they are immediately attack their brainstems." Gabriel lay on the ground, gasping for breath, and said to me half-jokingly, "Okay, Hannah. If I can't hold on and turn into a zombie, please ask the people in Team A to eliminate me." I said, "You won't die." 8. Time passed by minute. The 3 people twisting on the ground stood up one by one with their extremely uncoordinated limbs. Seeing a living person, they pounced on him like flies seeing blood. Gabriel picked up the fire axe and barely blocked the first zombie that rushed up. The strength of the zombie was beyond imagination. And the handle of the fire axe was almost broken. Gabriel endured the intense pain, dodged the attack of the second zombie, and with the help of the momentum, he jumped up and struck the back of the head of the first zombie with the axe. The zombie fell to the ground with a thud, but the third one had already pounced on him. Gabriel was knocked to the ground, and the axe flew far away. The zombie pounced on him, and its fangs were only a few centimeters away from his neck. My heart instantly rose to my throat. At this critical moment, Gabriel freed one hand, pulled out a military dagger from his waist, and stabbed it into the temple of the zombie, destroying its brainstem. The zombie twitched a few times and stopped moving. Gabriel gasped and pushed the zombie's body away. The other two zombies saw the body and immediately pounced on it to devour their own kind. Gabriel picked up the fire axe, chopped off their heads, and smashed their heads with the back of the axe. 3 blue crystal stones, about the size of peanuts, emitted a strange light. Due to the intense exercise just now, the blood circulation accelerated. Gabriel groaned in pain, fell to the ground, and his limbs began to twitch. Ferocious blue veins appeared on his face, and his skin's surface began to fester. "Swallow the crystal stone," I commanded. Gabriel took out the crystal stone from the zombie's head, which was still stained with disgusting pus. "I refuse." "Swallow it quickly if you don't want to die." Gabriel wiped the crystal stone on his clothes and swallowed it in one gulp, and he even retched a few times. He took out a container prepared in advance from his pocket and put the other 2 crystal stones into it. Only after he had done all this did I let the people in Team A put on protective suits and gas masks and go in to carry Gabriel out. The people in Team B successfully captured player 59, Isaac. And all the equipment that had been interfered with began to recover. Suddenly, the alarm in the venue rang, and the emergency broadcast began to evacuate the people. It turned out that zombies had suddenly appeared in the sports venue. Seeing that the plan to spread the virus through the ventilation system had failed, Finn immediately activated Plan B. More than 20 zombies hidden underground were released into the venue, in the camera. Some things with twisted hands and feet and festering bodies rushed towards the crowd. Those people panicked and began to run towards various exits. 30 Special Forces soldiers quickly took their positions, but it was like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water when facing a panicked crowd of tens of thousands. The venue security personnel also joined in the evacuation, but the situation was already out of control. At the same time, Gabriel let out a painful cry while lying on the stretcher, and his hands began to emit a faint blue light. The crystal stone, the physical carrier of the system, was now fusing with his nervous system inside Gabriel's body. I waited anxiously. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes passed. The scene was in chaos, with people lying on the ground everywhere. Although the Special Forces soldiers eliminated all the zombies, many people who had been bitten were lying on the ground, moaning in pain. And blood was flowing all over the ground. In the surveillance footage, Gabriel stood up unsteadily, with blue veins bulging on his face, but his eyes were unusually clear. "Let me get closer to those who were bitten," he said through gritted teeth. "Don't act on your own," Minister George objected. Gabriel tore off his gas mask, revealing his skin glowing with a blue light. "I can feel them, every cell and every nerve in the people present here." On his arms, blue veins were bulging. But unlike those of the zombies, these blood vessels emitted a faint blue light. "Hannah, I think I can control the cells." His teammate helped him get closer to the first person who was bitten. That person had his thigh bitten through, and there were black-blue vein patterns all over his thigh, slowly spreading towards his heart. The man grabbed Gabriel while crying and shouting for help. Gabriel placed his hand near the man's wound and closed his eyes. The blue light under his skin suddenly intensified, and the black patterns on the bitten man's leg were like withering flowers, getting smaller and lighter. Finally, the patterns completely disappeared, and even the wound was gone. "This is simply a miracle," Minister George asked excitedly. "This is Gabriel's special ability." Although my ability to tell the truth had already informed us that Gabriel's special ability was biological manipulation, and he could repair the cells of primary infected people that had been infected by the virus. He was the only antidote in this apocalyptic game. After saving 10 people in a row, Gabriel fell into a coma due to overusing his ability for the first time. The Special Forces team quickly took the 27 crystal stones they had obtained and flew back to the country on China's most advanced supersonic aircraft. 9. In a secret base in Beijing, Gabriel and I, together with the chief scientists, were studying how to make use of the crystal stones in the underground research center. We have selected 27 potential ability users and are ready to attempt to awaken their abilities, the scientist said excitedly. Gabriel, I'm not trying to dampen your enthusiasm, but what if the awakening fails? I obtained my ability by swallowing the crystal stone, and the process almost cost me my life. So we have improved the method. The chief scientist took out a blue syringe. We have extracted the energy essence of the crystal stone, diluted it, and injected it. Theoretically, it will be much safer. The experiment was carried out in a special isolation room. The 27 selected people entered in batches, and each person received an injection of the energy from one crystal stone. The whole process was closely monitored, and they were ready to deal with any accidents at any time. Finally, everyone successfully awakened their abilities: fire ability, metal control, super strength, invisibility, sound wave manipulation. Minister George looked at the test report, unable to hide the joy on his face. We have our own ability army. I sat in the monitoring room and provided ability guidance and training suggestions for each awakened person through my ability to tell the truth. What's next? Gabriel asked. Finn won't give up easily, I said. We must reveal the truth and let the world know about the existence of the apocalyptic game and the zombie virus. This will cause panic. Compared to the panic caused by an unknown disaster, the panic after being informed is much more controllable. After an emergency meeting, the highest leadership made a decision. The next morning, China announced all the information about the apocalyptic game and the zombie virus through a connection with the high-level officials of various countries, including the evidence of the cooperation between the BL4 laboratory in the Eagle country and Finn. The Chinese representative played the surveillance video of the Eagle Country Youth Games and the complete evidence of Finn releasing the virus. All the representatives were shocked. The representative of the Eagle Country stood up immediately and denied it, saying that China was smearing them. This is a fake video shot in front of a green screen. China's smearing of the Eagle Country like this. I will take it to the international court and impose additional tariffs on you. The representatives of European and American countries shook their heads and said it was ridiculous. The representatives of Asian, African, and Latin American countries remained silent, and some countries with close relations with China said they would pay attention. Finn deceived the president of the Eagle country, saying that using a virus war to strike the whole world. By the way, it's not the first time the Eagle country has done such a thing, so this time the president believed Finn. But he didn't know that Finn's purpose was to destroy the whole world. The Chinese representative seriously warned all countries. Finn has modified the virus, and the incubation period is as long as 14 days. After we stop the disaster at the Eagle Country Youth Games, hundreds of unaware citizens of the Eagle Country carrying the virus have taken flights to all parts of the world. After cutting off the video conference, China immediately announced the closure of all borders, the cancellation of all international flights, and the activation of a national emergency response plan. Checkpoints were set up between cities, and those found to be abnormal were immediately quarantined. With the help of my ability to tell the truth, Chinese scientists developed a rapid detection method that could confirm whether a person was infected within 30 minutes. The shelters were fully opened, and the urban population was evacuated to safe areas in an orderly manner according to the plan. The National Army entered the highest state of alert, and special forces were stationed in major cities. At the same time, disasters began to occur in other parts of the world. Those countries that refused to believe the warning and advocated "Long live freedom" paid a heavy price. The large screen in the monitoring room was divided into more than a dozen windows, showing real-time images from all over the world. In the center of New York City, a wave of zombies broke out from the subway station. The army was caught off guard, and Manhattan Island fell within just 3 hours. In the financial district of London, the government was reluctant to believe in the existence of the zombie virus until No. 10 Downing Street was breached by zombies, and then they began to respond urgently. But it was too late. In Shibuya, Tokyo, someone suddenly collapsed and mutated in a crowded area, triggering a stampede. and the infection spread rapidly in the chaos. New Delhi had become a living hell, with severed limbs and zombies floating in the Ganges River. Paris, Berlin, Rome, one city after another fell into chaos. However, those countries that listened to China's suggestions in a timely manner suffered less losses. The Lion City implemented a national lockdown, and the army took over the streets. Controlling the infection to the minimum extent, the Bear Country activated the underground shelter system from the Cold War era, and the population evacuation was efficient and orderly. Surrounding countries such as the Monkey Country and the Elephant Country established biological isolation zones with the assistance of China, temporarily blocking the spread of the epidemic. Standing in the command center and looking at these images, Minister George said in a complicated tone. We issued a warning, but not everyone was willing to listen. Human beings are never short of wisdom, what they lack is humility, I replied softly. In contrast, all the people in China had been transferred to the underground shelters. The entrance of each shelter was guarded by the army to ensure the safety of the residents. The underground agricultural technology ensured an adequate supply of food. Controlled nuclear fusion provided an inexhaustible source of energy. People lived and worked in peace and contentment, with no worries about food and drink, and they could still work normally, surf the internet on their mobile phones, and watch live broadcasts. The detected infected people would be quickly transferred to the isolation center by supersonic aircraft, and Gabriel would use his ability to cure them there. Externally, our special forces obtained enough crystal stones, and all 578 ability users awakened their abilities. In the Operation Command Center in Beijing, help requests from countries around the world kept pouring in. Many countries requested China to share its response plan and treatment technology. China dispatched expert teams to jointly assist them in combating the zombie virus. At this time, some people couldn't sit still. 10. The global disaster had lasted for 3 months, and most countries had fallen into chaos. One day, I was checking the global epidemic data in the underground command center when I suddenly heard someone shouting in the player system. In just 3 months, 12 out of the 60 players had disappeared. Their avatars turned gray. Among them, player 60, who had threatened to kill Finn, was also gone. Player 23, Finn. At all players, listen up now. Presumably, you all know that I am the player chosen by the system. I created the virus, and I can also modify it. Other players are no match for me at all. Why don't you all join me, and we can rule the world together? The chat channel immediately exploded. Player 5, why should we believe you? Player 18, yeah, I can just survive on my own. The supplies I've stocked up are enough for me to last until the end. Player 23, Finn. Player 18, there seems to be a strange smell in the fresh air system of your underground house today. Player 18, what did you do? Help. About 10 minutes later, Player 18's avatar turned gray, and he went offline. Player 23, Finn. Player 27 and Player 30 have joined me. Player 30 has a built-in positioning system and can locate the positions of all players. Player 27 can teleport and bring the virus right to you. So have you considered cooperating with me? The players present were all intimidated. Player 5, but the system said that only one person can win in the end. Player 23, Finn, I've said it before. My goal is not to be resurrected. I didn't have such great abilities in the original world. Nor could I obtain supreme power. I'm really enjoying myself in this world now, and it's really satisfying to hold the power of life and death over the whole world. As long as I say the game doesn't end, everyone can keep on surviving, and those who resist me, I will kill them all. Suddenly, he at me, however, if you all want to join me, you have to show your loyalty first. Bring the head of it. Player 22 to me. Player 7. Did Player 22 offend you? Player 23, Finn, I just can't stand idiots. I want to kill her a second time. I had someone ask my ability to tell the truth why Finn had run me over and killed me. Was it a mistake? My ability to tell the truth told me that day, Finn had quarreled with his girlfriend and saw me crossing the road with a big smile on my face. He couldn't stand the fact that an ordinary person could be so happy. And in a bad mood, he accelerated and ran me over, accidentally losing his own life in the process. Finn sent me a private message. Hannah, it's still not too late to surrender. I know you've joined China, but how can the national strength of mere China compare with that of the world's leading country, the Eagle country? Now the president of the Eagle country is like a dog in front of me, convex convex convex. A gesture of disdain in some contexts. I closed the chat window and, by the way, exited the player interface. We have thoroughly studied all the player information. Player 27's teleportation can only move to any location within 5 kilometers and cannot penetrate plasma-facing materials, so I'm in the safest underground command room in the world, and he can't get anywhere near me at all. Finn finally realized that my ability combined with the power of the country was his most troublesome enemy, but it was already too late. This madman ran me over and killed me while speeding. And now he wants to kill innocent people in this world. I will make him pay the price. 11. I sat in front of the monitoring screen in the command center, watching the live news broadcast from the Eagle country. Their president was giving a national speech, pointing the finger directly at China. This disaster is a biological weapon released by China, he said angrily, slapping the podium. They developed the zombie virus and deliberately spread it to weaken the Western world. That's why they have controlled the situation so perfectly in their own country while we are deeply mired in the crisis. The Eagle country will seek justice from China on behalf of the people of the whole world, the secretary beside me said angrily. They can't afford to lose, so they start shifting the blame. This is typical of the Eagle country's style. I shrugged. They are masters at shifting the blame. It was an extremely shameless accusation. It was clearly their own laboratory that had cooperated with Finn to create and release the virus, but now they were blaming us instead. In my original world, such things had also happened. Even in this game world, the Eagle country still has the same face. Before long, the live broadcast was cut off because the capital of the Eagle country had fallen. The wave of zombies overwhelmed the defense lines around the White House, and the Capitol building became a paradise for zombies. Judging from the satellite images, the president's helicopter fled in a hurry. The so-called world leader is just like that. In the image, I suddenly saw Finn's shadow. I nodded to the secretary, and she immediately asked me a question. What is Finn doing there? What's his purpose? Finn said that the reason why China is powerful is because of Hannah. As long as the president orders a saturation nuclear strike on China and kills Hannah, the Eagle country will still be the world leader. The president of the Eagle country has been used by Finn, and they have reached an agreement. The president will launch a nuclear strike on China, and Finn will control the zombies to attack other countries to help him stay in power permanently. I'll report it immediately, the secretary exclaimed. My heart sank. A saturation nuclear strike means that the Eagle country wants to drag China down with it. Those in power who only care about their own status don't care about human lives at all. China immediately activated the highest level of alert. 3 hours later, the alarms suddenly rang in the command center, deafeningly loud. Multiple intercontinental ballistic missiles have been detected being launched, a military personnel reported loudly. The targets are several cities in our country, and 10 of them are carrying nuclear warheads. My heart rate increased, but strangely, I didn't feel afraid, because I have no doubt about the ability to tell the truth. Activate the Heavenly Shield system, the military minister ordered. Dispatch the Phoenix team. I turned to the large screen and watched the images of our anti-missile system and the ability team taking off. This 5-person team awakened by the crystal stones is one of our most powerful combat forces. Nuclear warheads flew towards China's territory as densely as raindrops. The Heavenly Shield system, like an impenetrable net, intercepted all the nuclear warheads in the air. Suddenly, an intercontinental missile descended from space at supersonic speed. This was the most powerful nuclear missile of the Eagle country. A figure was seen rising from the ground and blocking the missile with bare hands. Another person tore open the space-time and sent the missile into space. A girl with double ponytails flew up, her skirt fluttering in the wind. She formed seals with her hands and directly froze several nuclear missiles in mid-air, with a wave of her hand. All the nuclear warheads turned into powder. This was the first time our special ability team appeared in front of the world. China thoughtfully broadcast it live globally, allowing all those who used our satellites for free to see these scenes. Netizens exclaimed one after another. Is this fucking a superhero drama being filmed? This is a live broadcast from our country. It can't be fake. There are already zombies. What are people with special abilities? Our country resists the Eagle country's missiles on its own and shows pleasant goat for us behind the scenes. Seriously, I'm so touched. This gives so much a sense of security. It's also broadcast live to the whole world to show the big shots are product showcase. Impossible. I heard the panicked voice from the military channel of the Eagle country. They are catching nuclear warheads with their bare hands. This violates the laws of physics. It was our turn to fight back. Under the guidance of my telling the truth ability, we developed the Azure Dragon system, a directed energy weapon that can precisely strike targets without causing large-scale casualties. 5 blue lights shot out from our launch base, traversed the atmosphere, and accurately hit the nuclear weapon launch bases, military command centers of the Eagle country, and the secret base where Finn was located, through satellite monitoring. I saw the military facilities of the Eagle country paralyzed one after another, the power grid collapsed, and the communication was interrupted. In the face of a rapidly developing China, the Eagle country was simply no match. A few hours later, our satellite intelligence showed that the president of the Eagle country had turned into a zombie. Finn was right beside him, surrounded by dozens of players who had defected to him and thousands of zombies. Finn broadcast in the game world, Hannah. I won't let you win for a second time. From now on, I am the god of the game world. 12. His zombie virus has evolved. The advanced zombies not only have intelligence, but their speed, endurance, and combat power have all been upgraded by 5 levels. Zombies were flooding all over the world. And Finn could control all of them. He thought of himself as a god. He wouldn't give China time to develop its technology. He wanted a quick victory. Killing me would mean destroying the whole world. Just then, the alarm sounded again. A large number of aircraft have entered our country's airspace. The officer exclaimed. They are the strategic bomber group of the Eagle country. The number exceeds 100, on the screen. Countless red dots were swarming towards China's territory from all directions. They are not loaded with bombs, but with thousands of advanced zombies and players. Finn's counterattack came faster and more violently than we had expected. Gabriel rubbed his hands eagerly and said, "Then let the tempest be more violent. Fly towards Area D," I commanded, my eyes fixed on the red dots approaching on the screen. They want to carry out a concentrated airdrop in southern China. The Minister of the Military Department immediately ordered, "Activate the Skynet air defense system. All air defense missiles are ready." It's not enough. I shook my head. These advanced zombies can change their directions in mid-air, and it's very difficult for ordinary missiles to intercept them. Dispatch the Phoenix team. Within tens of seconds, 5 specially made fighter jets took off into the sky. With 2 ability users on each jet, this was our strongest air force. Through the fighter jet cameras, I saw the enemy's bomber group. They used to be the strategic weapons that the Eagle country was proud of, but now they had become the transportation tools for zombies. The cabin doors were open, and they were filled with blue-eyed zombies that were jumping down, like the arrival of demons. "Look at those zombies," an ability user exclaimed. "They can change their directions in the air." Indeed. Those zombies could actually change their trajectories like bats during free fall to avoid the interception of our missiles. What was more terrifying was that they were still holding weapons in their hands. Now the zombies can use guns. Gabriel raised his eyebrows. "This is a bit interesting. Our ability users didn't show any weakness." The ability user with the fire ability spread his hands, and the whole sky turned into a sea of fire. A large number of zombies were burned to ashes. The ability user with the wind ability set off a tornado, tearing the enemies to pieces. The ability user with the electromagnetic ability made the enemy aircraft short-circuit and crash, and the players also fell from the aircraft one after another and got into a fight with our ability users. The players were full of confidence, thinking that they were the ones chosen by the system, and the ability users were definitely no match for them. But gradually, the players began to panic. The ability users they regarded as NPCs were not inferior to them in ability, and were even stronger. Some players were killed, and some were injured. During the battle, zombies kept pouring in, and the number was really too large. Some zombies broke through the defense line and successfully landed on the ground. "Ground troops, please note that the enemy has landed in Area D7. The voice in the communication center was full of tension. I commanded calmly, "Activate the Iron Armor plan." A special force composed of thousands of soldiers wearing special armor and ability users quickly assembled and formed a defense line at the landing point of the zombies. They were equipped with weapons specially designed to deal with zombies. high-energy pulse guns, concussion grenades, and biological inhibitors. Finn, you underestimate China too much, my ability to tell the truth said. We have been prepared for a long time. I stood in the command center and provided tactical support for the front line through my ability to tell the truth. The battle situation gradually became intense. In the sky, our ability users had a fierce encounter with the airdropped zombies. On the ground, the special forces engaged in close combat with the landed enemies. Although the enemy was numerous, we were well prepared. Every city had a defense system, and every area had an emergency response plan. China's defense was as solid as a rock. In the game world interface, the system that hadn't appeared for a long time suddenly showed up. There was excitement in its voice. Wonderful, really wonderful. This small world is so surprising. Dear players, please make the battle more intense. The more you kill, the more chances you have to get rewards. Player 23 has performed excellently and won a system reward. The ability to deprive any player of their ability. I had already learned the truth of the system through my ability to tell the truth. There were creatures from a higher dimension observing these small worlds, and they were the customers of the system. The more the small world surprised them, the more rewards the system could get. Player 23, Finn, use it immediately and deprive player 22 of her ability. Player 22, me, system, you are helping player 23 cheat. The system whispered to me, don't think I don't know your plan. As soon as the words fell, I felt a force being stripped away from my body. I stared in horror with wide eyes and breathed deeply and rapidly. Gabriel beside me noticed something was wrong and immediately examined my cells. My ability has been taken away by the system. I was so weak that I could hardly stand up. Minister George immediately asked me questions, but I couldn't answer anything. For the first time in such a long time, I couldn't predict the future and couldn't provide accurate information at critical moments. I fell into deep panic. In this battle, the system was favoring Finn because it needed more killing rather than redemption. Relax, it's up to us next. Minister George patted my shoulder. Let Gabriel take you to rest. But, go. With Gabriel's support, I left the control room. 13. The number of zombies was already countless, and they engulfed every inch of land like a tide. Finn appeared in the global live broadcast. On the screen, Finn stood on the ruins of the White House in the Eagle Country and gave a speech. With dozens of players and thousands of zombies by his side, his appearance was no longer much like a human. His skin glowed with a blue light, and his eyes were full of a bloodthirsty look. The end of human civilization has begun, he said arrogantly. If China surrenders and hands over Hannah, I will end this farce. Otherwise, everyone in China will become part of the zombie army. People of China, it's up to you to choose. Hannah is just a useless person now and is of no use to you. Handing her over can avoid becoming a zombie. It's a good deal, right? The light of the crystal stone in his body became stronger and stronger, and the fluctuations of the system's energy filled the air. Gabriel slammed his fist against the wall. He's dreaming. The system has started to merge with him. The system has come to this small world in person to create more fear and killing. It wants to use the fear of the Chinese people to make everyone fight among themselves and disintegrate us from within. I said, very well, I'll be the first one. Gabriel suddenly chopped his hand and knocked me out. Vaguely, I seemed to be stuffed into a secret container and taken out of the safe house. I don't know how long it took, but the container was opened from the outside, and Gabriel woke me up. Wake up, we're at the Antarctic ice cave. There were 10 extremely powerful ability users around me. Has the system not noticed? I asked worriedly. Don't worry, this jammer is very reliable, but it seems to have noticed now. Gabriel pointed to the ice cave. As early as a few months ago, Minister George and I had learned the essence and weakness of the system through questioning. The ice cave in Antarctica was the connection point between it and the small world. There was a huge crystal stone hidden in it, which was the energy source of the system, similar to a supercomputer. As long as it was destroyed, the system could be destroyed. Our wish was never to win the apocalypse or become the leader of the world, but to help all of humanity get rid of the control of the system. Otherwise, this time it's the apocalyptic virus, and next time it could be global heavy rain. The people in the small world will always live under the control of the system. Our plan was to destroy the energy source of the system. We had been acting according to the plan for the past few months, just waiting for the system to get carried away and come to our world in person. Shortly after entering the ice cave, a harsh alarm sounded in the ice cave. Warning, unauthorized intrusion detected, security protocol activated. It was the voice of the system. More than a dozen aquatic zombies swarmed from all directions. They were incredibly fast and highly aggressive. "Protect Hannah," Gabriel shouted, and his hands emitted a blue light as he tried to control these monsters, but he only slightly slowed down the speed of the zombies. The battle escalated rapidly. The ability user with the fire ability boiled the water and formed a hot current barrier. The ability user with the ice ability created ice spikes and instantly penetrated the brainstems of the zombies. The ability user with the electromagnetic ability released an electric shock to paralyze the targets in the water. The ability user with the gravitational ability directly attracted the zombies to bind them together. I was protected in the center, my hand tightly holding the device containing the quantum code, and my hand was full of sweat. Gabriel tried his best to control the few closest zombies, and his sweat soaked through his protective suit. "Keep moving forward, the deeper we go, the closer we are to the source crystal stone." We moved forward with difficulty. As we went deeper, the ice cave became narrower and brighter. "It's almost there." I felt the strange vibration in the air. "The source crystal stone is ahead." Suddenly, the voice of the system sounded again. This time, it not only echoed in our minds but also throughout the entire ice cave. "Hannah, you never thought of killing anyone. You are not a qualified player. I have already deprived you of your ability. Yet you are still so stubborn." A blinding blue light appeared at the end of the ice cave. A huge crystal was suspended in the air, 100 times larger than any crystal stone we had seen before. It seemed to have a life of its own, pulsating slowly and emitting powerful energy fluctuations. "That's the source crystal stone, correct? This is the connection point between me and the small world, and also the source of my energy." The system seemed very proud. "In view of the fact that you are the first player to see it, I will make your death look better." Before the system finished speaking, the ice cave suddenly shook. Dozens of advanced zombies emerged from the ice layer around the crystal stone. They were covered with crystal carapaces all over their bodies, and their eyes were burning with blue flames. "My guards will turn you into nourishment." The 10 ability users quickly adjusted their positions and formed a defensive circle. Gabriel stood at the front, and I was in the center. Gabriel said to me, "Hannah, I will buy you time. Once there is a chance, you approach the source crystal stone and inject the code." 10 ability users had to fight against dozens of super zombies. The ability users used their strongest skills, but the number of guards was too large, and their strength was too strong. Seeing one ability user fall and the other two seriously injured, the situation was extremely critical. "Hannah, now!" Gabriel suddenly shouted and released all his strength at the same time. His ability burst out with an unprecedented light, and he actually briefly stopped all the zombies. I seized the opportunity and immediately rushed towards the source crystal stone. The system taunted, "Idiot, do you think you can get close to me?" An invisible barrier blocked my way, and no matter how I pushed, I couldn't pass through. "Gabriel." I turned around for help. He was already covered in injuries, but he still persisted in controlling the zombies. "Try this." He took out a small crystal stone from his pocket, which was exactly the second crystal stone he had obtained at the youth games. "Gabriel, it's a part of the system." I took the crystal stone and pressed it against the barrier. A miracle happened, and the barrier rippled open like water waves, creating a gap. Without hesitation, I passed through the gap and came in front of the source crystal stone. This huge crystal was even more astonishing when viewed up close. Its complex internal structure was like a miniature universe. "Stop!" The voice of the system suddenly became tense. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? Cutting off the connection will lead to catastrophic consequences." "Is it worse than the apocalyptic game?" I calmly retorted, and at the same time activated the quantum code device. The device emitted a soft blue light, resonating with the source crystal stone. The code began to be transmitted, and the internal structure of the crystal stone started to change. There was fear in the system's voice. "No, Hannah, I'll let you win. I'll bring you back to life and send you back to your own world, as long as you stop right away." I remained unmoved. Code transmission progress. 10%, 20%, 35%. The ice cave shook violently, and cracks appeared on the surface of the source crystal stone. The surrounding zombies began to decompose and turned into blue particles floating in the air. "Hannah, you'll destroy the entire system. You'll never be able to go back." Don't you want to be resurrected? I didn't answer it. All right then, I'll give you all the rewards. There will be countless amounts of money. You can even be the president of the Eagle country if you want. I'll arrange it all for you. Stop quickly, please. Code transmission progress, 50%, 65%, 78%. The system's voice became intermittent. This fool. At this moment, the source crystal stone was already covered with cracks, and the energy fluctuations it emitted became unstable. The entire ice cave began to collapse. The skin of the ability users burst out with a blinding blue light, and soon the blue light dissipated into the air. Along with it, their abilities also disappeared. Go, I shouted at Gabriel. Take the others and leave. No? He shook his head stubbornly. I won't leave you behind. Code transmission progress. 97%, 99%, 100%. Code transmission completed. The source crystal stone emitted a blinding light, and the system completely failed. Far away, all over the world, all the zombies stopped moving simultaneously. The zombie virus began to decompose, and the catabolic humans returned to normal. Finn, who had merged with the system, let out a painful howl. As the system disintegrated, Finn's body gradually fell apart and turned into blue particles. Minister George stared at the screen and said, "The game is over, Finn." The ice cave was about to collapse. Gabriel picked me up and dashed outside. "Put me down. You can definitely escape on your own," I said on his back. "Shut up," Gabriel cursed. At the last second before the ice cave collapsed, the two of us escaped from the ice cave together with the other ability users. Gabriel put me on the snowy ground and gasped for breath. "Hannah." I looked at his face and was deeply moved. Although he usually had a sharp tongue, he was really reliable at critical moments. He continued, "Eat less next time. You're so heavy." The moved feeling instantly turned to dust. I kicked him and said, "Can't you shut up for a while?" A dazzling light wave spread from the Antarctic to the whole world, and all the crystal stones shattered simultaneously. The connection between the system and the real world was completely cut off. At the last moment when the source crystal stone collapsed, I felt a strange sense of peace. My body suddenly began to decompose into blue light particles. "Hannah," Gabriel rushed towards me, trying to catch me, but he could only pass through those light particles. "Don't go." I saw Gabriel shouting at me desperately, and I saw the tears of my partners, but strangely, I wasn't sad at all, because at that moment, I understood my destination. "Thank you all." My voice gradually became faint. "I can finally go home." Epilogue. She's awake. Our daughter is awake. I opened my eyes blankly. There was a white ceiling, the smell of disinfectant, and blinding lights. I was lying in a hospital bed, and my mother was holding my hand, with tears streaming down her face. My father immediately rushed into the ward. Apparently, he hadn't had a good rest for a long time, and there was stubble on his face. The doctors and nurses began to examine my body. My mother told me that I had been hit by a car and had been in a coma for 3 months. Finn couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha. So stupid, they really chose it." "What about Finn?" I asked. My mother was taken aback for a moment. "How do you know the driver's name is Finn?" My father replied. "His car lost control and flew into the river, and he died on the spot." "Bah, let's not mention him. He's bad luck." In the following weeks, I received rehabilitation treatment in the hospital. The doctors were amazed at my recovery speed. After being discharged from the hospital, I joined the biotech company that had offered me a job and specialized in developing vaccines. After going through that apocalyptic game, I felt like a different person, with a stronger personality. I would miss the days when I fought side by side with my partners from time to time. One day, I was walking on my way home. When I turned around a familiar street corner, I suddenly bumped into a hasty pedestrian. The folders scattered all over the ground, and he squatted down to help me pick them up. "Sorry, I was walking too quickly." A familiar voice came from above my head. I suddenly looked up and saw a familiar face. "Gabriel," I blurted out involuntarily. "You know me."